Sport.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Room to steady and finish.
It's close to the goal line and Marty good there.
Another one.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
Rampy from 55 and right all the way home. Huge fend off and kicks the goal. The skipper off a step finishes.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Right foot strike. He's got it. Oh, the home fans like that. Takes a bounce. Unguarded. Goal square. He's got it. Reed's going to go for goal. Oh, my goodness. That truly is remarkable.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
The ladder-leading Magpies are chasing a 7th win on the trot, and they can extend their gap on the rest of the competition to 10 premiership points with victory over the bottom place West Coast Eagles at Docklands for round 16 of the AFL. Hi everyone, Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. The Magpies have only lost 2 games of the season and come off a 34-point victory over St Kilda last week, and made 2 changes with debutant Charlie West off a career best 6 goals in the VFL, and Charlie Dean coming in for his first game of the season, replacing Beau McCreary and Billy Frampton. There is a late change. Bobby Hill is out due to personal reasons, and Olof Markov comes in, and he will be the sub for the Magpies tonight. Brody Mychek celebrates his 150th game. He's just broken through the banner in his 8th year, the 5-time leading Magpie goal kicker, having joined Collingwood from the VFL. Well, the West Coast Eagles have won just the 1 game so far this season. It came against St Kilda. Their sub will be Jaden Hunt tonight, while Brody Hoff makes his return after missing last week, a couple of weeks ago, against the Blues due to illness. And Job Shanahan becomes the Eagles' 7th debutant of the season, and told in unique circumstances as he was lining up at training for a shot on goal. Andrew McWalter paused the drill and said, "Kick it and you're in." And so he is, from Moama on the New South Wales-Victorian border. The athletic young gun starred for the Bendigo Pioneers and the Bombers VFL side before being taken in the draft last season with pick 30. It's the top of the table Magpies taking on the bottom place West Coast Eagles. Lauren Borden to call the action alongside me. Welcome, Loz.
Oh, thanks, Clinchy. It's nice to be back here for another Magpies home game at Docklands Stadium. It is the battle of the bookends tonight, so we'll see how West Coast can fare against Collingwood, which we've mentioned is so far on top of the AFL ladder, but they've got 107,000 members, Collingwood, so I'd love to see how many come out for their 2nd week in a row here at Docklands. 42,000 last week against St Kilda, so we'll see. It's starting to fill up, and they're getting to the back of those rows here under the roof, so we'll see how many they can get here tonight.
Yeah, what sort of occasion are we going to get tonight? They are the measuring stick, Collingwood, in every way. Former premiership player with the Pies, St Kilda captain Luke Ball is with you for a Saturday night. Welcome, Bally.
Clinchy, yeah, good to be here. I was here last week to see the Pies do it pretty tough in the end against a really spirited Saints outfit. In a sense, Andrew McWalter's, relationship with the Saints and the coach there, they might have gone to school a little bit this week on how the Saints really challenged the Pies last week, and in the end it was just the class of Collingwood that enabled them to steady and kick away in that last quarter. So I'm hoping and expecting, in a sense, off a bye as well, a pretty spirited Eagles outfit early here. Let's hope that their pressure's up, their intensity around the contest. We know that that's something they can control. I think we know there's probably a gap in talent, but one thing they can bring, the Eagles, is that effort and intensity. So expect to see that tonight. And then from Collingwood's point of view, well, there's some opportunity, isn't there? So now as we head towards the back end of the season, we know this team are going to be around the mark, and we know, Rammer, that squads win premierships. So can Charlie Dean play his way into that squad so he's there when the whips are cracking and when he might be needed? Can young West put his hand up and say, no, I can perform, I can be here if required when the whips are cracking at the end of the year as well. So they're in a wonderful position, Collingwood, having done so much at work early, where we know they can manage some of the older players who might need it, but also, let's say that bottom 10 or 12 players on the list, they're in there's no way that they can have a night off or a week off. They need to be continually fighting for their spot. Possession's 9/10 of the law, and if they have an off week, they know that there's people banging down the door in the reserve. So I wouldn't expect a Collingwood team to be taking this Eagles team lightly tonight.
Essendon Premiership player. He also works in the player management side of things. It's great to have Adam Romanascus with you for a Saturday night. Welcome to you, Ramo.
Yes, good evening. It is 1 versus 18 on the ladder, but then also 70 percentage points between these two teams. So West Coast at 65% and Collingwood at 135. So, you know, it really is a top and tail clash tonight. I agree with Bawley. It's a real opportunity for a few of these young Collingwood players. Maynard, Schultz, McCreary, Frampton, DeGoey and Bobby Hill all out tonight. They're all going to be first picked when they're fit and available. But it gives you your depth of your list a chance to perform and to understand what it takes to be an AFL player. So great opportunity there. West Coast on the other hand, well, look, not many things have gone right for them over the last couple of years. Let's not just say this year, but
Oscar Allen, Jeremy McGovern, that's this year.
Jeremy McGovern, Owie, Sheed, Waterman, Elliot Yeo. So, you know, a lot of the experience that they need out there is simply just not available for West Coast. But at the same time, you know, I want to see West Coast. I want them to start to identify themselves and what type of style of game they're going to play. Andrew McQualter, who's going to be a really good coach. There's no doubt about it in my mind. He's done such a big apprenticeship at a number of different football clubs. He's got a real passion for it, but you want to even without personnel, you still got to identify a game plan and how you're going to play and what the supporters can turn up each week and go, yep, that's the West Coast, and I'm looking forward to watching week in, week out, whether the scoreboard says we win or lose. So it's been a tough ask, and it's going to be a tough ask tonight for West Coast. So there's another debutant in Joe Shanahan, who's from the Bendigo Pioneers up in the Moama area. So he's a key position player, back or forward.
Big kid, isn't he? Big.
Yeah, he's got great hands. He's a one grab mark, Joe Shanahan. So I expect him to probably play more back tonight, maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, with Oscar Allen being out and Waterman being out for the remainder of the season, that he has to go forward. But yeah, I just want to see West Coast now starting to go, This is what we're going to identify as a football team.
For Collingwood, the opportunity is to go 10 premiership points clear of the second place Brisbane Lions and the third place Geelong. So it's not an occasion you should imagine motivation will be low or complacency from this Collingwood side. And as you said, the opportunity for a couple of players to get their chance tonight.
Well, when opportunity knocks, you've got to take it. And if simply that's a case of going 2.5 games clear of anybody else in an AFL season at this stage of the year, you need to take that, because Bawley's right. You're then able to manage your list in the back part of the season. Bawley and I were speaking about Jordan DeGoey off air. Like, if they can get him to the start line at the start of August and go, hey, Jordy, we need you for 8 games. So 4 games in August and 3 or 4 games in September. But just get yourself fit for that. Don't try to rush yourself back now and force the issue. Get yourself fit for 7 or 8 games when the absolute whips are cracking.
It's a great luxury to have Adam Romanascus and Luke Ball, your experts, Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden, to call the action. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. The final member of our team sitting in the front row is Lex Pesce tonight. Welcome to you, Lex.
Guys, what a nice night it is under the roof here at Dockland Stadium. The crowd is bigger than what I thought, I hate to admit it, with the first place and 18th, but what a beautiful night. The first win for the Magpies, Darcy Moore won the toss. I get this wrong every time, but he's elected to go to the left.
Lockett.
That Lockett end. There we go, it's the Lockett end.
Thank you very much, Lex. Looking forward to your contributions throughout the night. So what's the over-under margin that would be respectable from a West Coast side of things?
When it's a battle like this, I'm always 2 goals a quarter. So if West Coast can get within 8 goals, I think tonight, I think they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was going to say 10. So let's give them let's meet in the middle. Maybe give them 9. Remember?
Yep,
9 at the start.
Well, the last 2 times these two sides have clashed, the margin has been 60 points or above. So anything under that would be a good progression for the West Coast Eagles. And Andrew McQualter's first season. The players heading out into position. Nick Dacos in the middle of the ground for Collingwood. He had the attention of Marcus Winhager last week. It will be interesting to see if Brady Hoff, who looks like he's starting alongside him.
Well, it was Nick who actually walked over to Brady as if to say, right, I think, let's not muck around. Yeah. I know what's coming, so let's get into it. So I've really enjoyed Hoff's development this year. I think he's a tough player. He gives his all each week, and it looks like he's got the big job tonight.
And Harley Reid alongside Ned Long It's the top of the table Magpies taking on the bottom place West Coast Eagles on Saturday night footy. Here's Lauren Borden.
Cameron and Flynn starting the ruck, each bump each other in the shoulders. The tap comes down. Nick Dacos overruns it. Pendlebury has a shot at it. It's taken by Hoff, who hand passes back to Flynn, and it's a quick inside 50 for the Eagles. The umpire might have blown a whistle. No, play on inside 50. Hollands has a go at it. He can't pick it up. Then Howe grabs it for Collingwood. His kick only goes as far as Reid, who can hand pass it backwards to Hall. Hand pass back to Hoff. It's back outside of the 50, still in the hands of the Eagles, though. There's Flynn, hand passes it to McCarthy. His kick is smothered by Allen, and it's the Collingwood Magpies now that can work it through the middle of the ground. Lipinski hand passes out wide to Membry, direct inside 50 here for the Pies into the pocket. No mark can be taken by West on debut. He can hand pass it out to Myercheck, who runs past it as well. It's Marrick that cleans it up for West Coast, but then his hand passes to Baker, who's taken in a tackle, and Collingwood will lock it up inside their forward 50. So from one end to the other end, it'll be a ball up inside Collingwood's forward 50. About a minute played in this opening term, no score.
Right forward pocket for the Magpies. Charlie West starting at full forward. Myercheck in game 150 does the rucking. Spills out to Baker. Hand pass to Duggan for the West Coast Eagles. Bangs it up the wing. In front, no mark was claimed by Jack Williams. It comes down to the front. And a chance for Ryan. Links up with a hand pass away to Hewitt, who started forward tonight. He looks up one-on-one inside 50. Sends it in the direction of Howe, who's wrestling in Shanahan's direction. Shanahan gathers and he's tackled and locked up in the left forward pocket. The Eagles inside 50, but no score through the opening 90 seconds.
Well, both debutants having almost an identical first opportunity at either end.
Cameron just pulls it out of the ruck and shoves it on his boot. His kick only goes as far as Marrick, just outside 50. Not 15, though. Play on. Hand passes it backwards towards Duggan, whose kick is intercepted, or smothered, rather, by Allen, and gets Ned Long, rather, who gets some hand passes and high fives as the ball goes outside of the boundary line for a throw-in. 55 metres out from West Coast goal.
It's a good early sign, isn't it, Rammer? The Pies pressures up. They look hungry for the contest.
Cameron with front position taps it down, bounces off Nick Dacos' shin, and Murray can take it. Hand passes backward to Duggan. His kick goes along the ground. Hoff has it, has to hand pass back towards Cripps, who just puts the kick to centre half forward for West Coast. Running onto it first, though, is Lipinski, who can pick it up, trying to dodge around some West Coast players. Hand passes back to Nick Dacos, who can hand pass across to Josh.
He kicks laterally out towards Jack Crisp, but missed him, but he has enough time to gather. Looks up to Jamie Elliott on a long lead, and he marks in front of Jimby. Landed awkwardly on that right angle.
Yeah, a bit sore there. Sort of almost like a straight leg land. Jamie Elliott, we'll keep an eye on that.
Tries to poke it to the advantage of Dan Houston off a couple of steps.
Just jammed up there, Jamie Elliott's ankle on that landing. So physio just coming out to him now. He looks okay. He's going to hopefully run it off.
Yeah.
He's had an incredible season. Over 30 goals for a sixth occasion across his career. Could he be an All-Australian for the first time? Darcy Moore in his usual position across half-back has the job on the debutant as the two rucks. Sheridan, the umpire, will ball it up on the wing. Cameron up against Flynn. No score through the opening 2 minutes as Flynn wins down the tap. Ned Long for Collingwood. Gets a hand pass forward to Jack Crisp. Looks inside 50. Kick is over the head of West, and the mark is taken by Duggan. He claims it for the West Coast Eagles in the back pocket.
Duggan runs across the goal square and flicks it across to the city side wing. That'll be an intercept mark at Allen. 50 metres out from Collingwood's goal. Stops it from going any further. He just chips it to Nick Dacos. It was just 15. And Nick's marked right at the top of the 50. And he'll go back to have a set shot at goal.
Well done, Ed Allen, wasn't it? It's classic wing play. He drifted forward, just seeing an impact, and then was quick to get back and support in the air. You know, that's a big strength of his. Again, another player with a real opportunity in this next block of games to lock himself into contention for a finals push.
So Nick Dacos now a chance to get on the scoreboard. Already getting some close checking tonight in the early minutes of the match against the Eagles. Let's rip from 53 metres out towards the goal. And he's just missed to the right-hand side. So a minor score to open up proceedings at Docklands tonight. Collingwood leading by 1 point. It's 4 minutes played in the opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
If you want to join us, 0437 774 774. As Joanna, Jeff and Grace have done, listening from Gallipoli in Turkey on the ABC Listen app. Go Pies. Great to have your company as it's brought back into play by Tom McCarthy. He has done the kicking duties. Which is not a bad move when you're on debut to try and make sure you get the maximum amount of possessions. To Hoff, who kicks up towards the wing. No marker's claim. Onto it is Hall. Tackle brought down Long. Made the tackle on Harley Reid, and the umpire says the follow-up tackle was over the shoulder And Liam Baker will take the free kick for the West Coast Eagles. And swing it out to Hutchinson, who takes the mark between wing and half forward for the Eagles. Collingwood by a point. Opening 5 minutes of the match. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Turns and comes inboard and finds Bo Allen. Call to play on. So Allen drives a long kick inside 50. Shanahan sets himself, worked his way over the top of Darcy Moore. Can't take the mark. Moore hand passes towards the boundary line. Perryman keeps it alive. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. Hand pass is a little loose, looking for Dean, and Liam Ryan's onto it. Goes the outside of the boot. And a banana misses to the right-hand side. For behind a piece through the opening 6 minutes. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Josh Dacos wastes no time bringing it in and just chips it out wide to Ed Allen at the top of the defensive 50. He'll move it across to Will Hoskin-Elliott. He's at right half back in his long sleeves, as he always is. Under the roof of Docklands tonight after a pretty pleasant winter's day in Melbourne today. Of course, the roof closed as Hoskin-Elliott continues along the city wing. Back to Ed Allen, who's made his way down there and can hand pass to Nick Dacos, who'll put the kick inside 50 here for the Pies. Myercheck was at the back. Ball goes to the back of the pack. It'll be tapped away by Crisp. He couldn't gather it cleanly. Baker has a go for the Eagles. He can hand pass it across to Harley Reid, who takes on the second grab and will clear the ball out to centre wing. He couldn't find the hands of Hewitt, and Josh Dacos will come in for the Pies. Just tries to pull the kick towards Pendlebury, but it will be an intercept mark there taken by Hoff, and Hoff will hold it and play on to Marrick for the Eagles.
Marrick tries to work it to Liam Ryan, and Kelly is on the break. The kick is inside 50 into the open goal, and the perfect start for the West Coast Eagles as Jack Williams bangs it through from the goal line. Quick transition from the West Coast Eagles, and they strike first. They're 1-1-7 to Collingwood 1 behind. 6 minutes gone, opening term, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, it's really good defence by West Coast. Collingwood have been inside their forward 50 on 4 occasions, and they really haven't looked like scoring. The West Coast have been able to get numbers back, and then it's a simple transition. It was a poor kick there coming inside to Pendlebury. Then they were off there. So Collingwood's defenders have got so high up the ground. And really, it was Williams. He was able to walk that in because Darcy Moore was 15 metres away there, ball.
Yeah, and that's the MO. That's what St Kilda were able to expose Collingwood in that first half in particular last week. Just pressure around the ball, cause a turnover through the middle part of the ground. We know Collingwood's defenders like to commit, like to squeeze the ground up and get them out the back. But Marriage is a beautiful pick, isn't he? They like the ball in his hands.
Back in the middle, a ruck infringement goes the way of Collingwood, and to Darcy Cameron quickly feeds it off across to Nick Dacos, who hand passes it to Josh, who's running on his left side, and Josh can put the Pies directly inside forward 50, forward pocket. Dan McStay holds on to the mark.
But those are the ones that hurt you there. So it's Dan McStay versus Jimby and Edwards there in that marking contest. That's got to come to ground, or it's got to be killed out of bounds. So McStay should have marked that ball.
So now Dan McStay does have that opportunity to reply quickly for Collingwood. Inside the left forward pocket, 30 metres out from goal, eases it towards the sticks, and he's missed to the right-hand side. So West Coast hold on to the lead. It's just cut back to 5 points. West Coast 1-1-7, Collingwood the 2 behinds. 8 minutes played in the opening term.
Eagles look to quickly bring it back in to Baker. All of a sudden they're under pressure. And a long clearing kick up towards the wing. Bailey Williams flies in the pack. Can't come down with it. And Darcy Moore is tackled, and the umpire will ball it up. Between wing and half forward for Collingwood, it's the Eagles who lead by 5 points.
Got some serious size, the Eagles. They're going to really try and stretch this Collingwood team. A lot of 200 centimetre pluses. Both Williams boys in front of the ball at the moment.
Flynn one down the tap, but Cameron one down the tap, but Harley Reid read it best. The kick up towards half forward is chopped off by Jack Crisp of Collingwood. His kick is close to the boundary line, looking for Hoskin-Elliott, and Ruben Jimby flies and sees it out of play. Boundary throw in at left half forward. Collingwood 2 behinds. West Coast Eagles 1-1-7.
Sullivan copped a big corky in that marking contest.
Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball were your experts. Matt Lynch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Flynn wins the tap for the Eagles. Side bottom can't gather. Harley Reid lays the tackle. Wasn't in possession. Spills out the way of Jack Crisp. He can't break clear. And umpire will ball it up.
A corky early in the game, Bally. There's not much worse.
Cold night.
Oh, you try to run it out and move. It just gets stiffer and stiffer.
Chris tries to pick up the footy, can't gather it cleanly. Long's in there to give him a hand, and he hand passes back to Nick Dacos. Long hand pass from him back to Chris, who can just pop the ball to Sullivan, who's marking 55 metres out from goal for Collingwood. He's tight next to the boundary. He's got Myercheck leading in the forward pocket. And then he points as if he's going to go as long as he can. Puts plenty on the kick, does Sullivan. He'll get it to a pack. Jinby flies, does McStay as well for the Magpies. He can't take it. Baker does for West Coast, and then McStay locks him up. And there'll be a ball in, or a ball up rather, about 3 metres around from the left behind post for Collingwood, who are trailing by 5 points early stages of the match.
6-4, the inside 50s Collingwood's way. They still search for their first goal. McStay got it down the side bottom, trying to keep it alive. His hand pass to the top of the goal square, doesn't find anyone. In the end, a chance for Hutchinson through McCarthy to try and clear. The Eagles work it out to left half back, where the mark is taken by Jack Williams, the goal scorer. Kicks out to the wing. William Ryan trying to work away from Isaac Quainer. As Quainer lays the tackle, Ryan gets the hand pass away. It's tapped forward by Ian Allen of Collingwood, but eventually runs out of room. And a throw in on the outer wing. West Coast by 5 points.
Closes space quickly to Isaac Quainer. Such a good one-on-one player. Very rarely beaten. Looked like Ryan had slipped him under the ball and might have been away, but great chase down and nailed him in the tackle.
Ball tossed in City side wing of Dockland Stadium. Cameron again gets front position, but it is only tapped down right to Hoff of West Coast, who puts it inside 50 for the Eagles. Falls at the back. Quaynor runs after it to grab the footy. The umpire blows his whistle, and it's a free kick. West Coast Eagles.
Oh, gee. That's a shocker.
That's against Charlie Dean.
Charlie Dean. Oh, I thought I was about to say
very
job.
minimal
really
contact in that.
And it's Jack Williams who gets the footy again to kick just a little to the left of centre.
I actually thought if the free kick was going to be given there, it was going to go to Jeremy Howe. So that was...
Well,
like it's almost like you can't touch them now.
I was going to say, you're not allowed to do that, Rami. You're not allowed to protect your teammate at all.
That's right.
Anyway, sometimes you get a lucky one. Yeah, you've got to take your opportunities.
A little flat the move from the Collingwood cheer squad as Jack Williams kicks towards that end of the ground, but he misses across to the right-hand side. So a goal and a behind now for Jack Williams. West Coast Eagles lead pushed out to 6 points. 12 minutes played in this opening term.
Oh, Josh Dacos brought Collingwood back into play, looking for Cameron, but Brockman takes it. He hand passes it to himself in the end. Backwards to Duggan. Kick is smothered by Jamie Elliott. Great desperation from the Collingwood live wire as the ball goes out of play, and plenty of encouragement. Pendlebury, side bottom, crisp, all coming over. Darcy Cameron as well. Eagles up for the fight early. They lead by 6 points, 1-8 to Collingwood, 2 behinds. Bobby Hill was a laid out through personal reasons, and Olaf Markov coming into the side from the throw-in. Flynn tries to get a hand pass forward. Pendlebury over the footy, spills out the way of Sidebottom. He's tackled and brought down. Ball spills clear. Eagles have the numbers. Flynn trying to gather. Elliott all over the top of him. Chris can't break clear, and the umpire will ball it up once more.
So right in front of our broadcast position, Cameron again standing in front of Flynn. It's a holding free kick, and we'll be going to Cameron. It's just a slight hold in that marking contest. It's second free for Cameron in a ruck contest so far in this match. He's holding onto the footy at left half back though for the Magpies. Yet to score a goal in this opening term so far. He flicks it to Nick Dacos, who's on the lead, and marks.
He's got to give that one, Nick. Wayner's coming fast at absolute speed.
Chips it forward to Houston, and then Nick Dacos will get it back as he makes his way into the middle of Dockland Stadium and flares the kick right out to the outer side. Howe will mark and then work it along the City wing. And the mark will be taken by Charlie Dean, who just tries to kick it towards Nick Dacos. He's making his way all along the ground. He has to go after it, can gather, hand pass to side bottom, hand pass to Howe. Flicks it across to Sullivan, who can move it by hands to Pendlebury, who spins around and decides to put it in on his boot, right to the top of the 50. No mark can be taken by McStay. It gets towards Crisp at the back. He chips it inside 50, and this time it'll be a mark. And it's Brodie Myercheck on the end of it, right deep inside the left forward pocket. Tough angle for him to kick from, but a chance to snap the Pies first. So Myercheck stands on his side, spins the footy around, and then goes the snap to put the Pies on the board. He's got the first for the home side. And scores are locked up under the roof of Docklands. It's 1-2-8 apiece. 14 minutes played in this opening term. And scores are all tied. It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
I just want to try to explain something to our listeners, the difference between Nick Dacos and Harley Reid at the moment. So Nick's in his 4th year, Harley's in his 2nd year. But Nick gets a mark on the halfback flank. He chips the ball inside to Dan Houston. Then it's Harley Reid's responsibility to play on Nick Dacos in the next 30 seconds. Nick just runs right past him. Harley Reid has got absolutely no interest in running. Nick Dacos gets to the next contest and he's able to impact again. Harley Reid is 20 metres behind him because he doesn't want to run with him for that moment. Nick gets it again. So he's had 4 possessions in that passage of play just through pure work rate. Whereas, and you know, I hate to be critical. Harley Reid's a really good player, but that's the work rate he needs to show in defence.
Adam Ramanaskas with you on ABC Sport. Nick Dacos with 8 disposals early for the Magpies. Back in the middle of the ground. McStay's little toe poke works to Long. Hand pass to Lipinski. Trying to get a hand pass forward, but Duggan gets back for the West Coast Eagles. Hand pass to Hewitt. The run out of defence. The hand pass for Graham was loose. Pendlebury trying to break it. He somehow gets one. Pass 2. Swings to his left around Tim Kelly. Hand pass to Quaino. He looks out wide to Sullivan. He has it at left half forward. Still 2 kicks out from goal. Scores level at 1-2-8 apiece. Sullivan veers out to the right. Sends it long to the teeth of goal. Setting himself for his memory. In from the side, Bailey Williams spoils it down. Jimby with a hand pass out. Bo Allen trying to get it. Hand pass away. Out towards Baker at half-back. Slick hand pass. Hutchins trying to break away. He's almost brought down. Just got a hand pass away from the Quainer tackle. Bo Allen has to get involved once more. Hand pass a little too sharp for Jack Graham. His hand pass chopped off by Hoskin Elliott. He's tackled and the umpire will ball it up as Liam Baker locks him up at half-back for the Eagles.
Well, too much handball there for West Coast coming in out of defence. Got to get on the boot. Even kick the grass if you need to.
McStay, a little tap right across to Pendlebury, kicks inside 50. It was a hurried kick and no mark could be taken. Lipinski has a chance to take it. Hand pass across to Mychek. His hand pass goes back to Lipinski, who's lying on the turf. He somehow gets a hand pass out. And then it's picked up by Ed Allen, who tries to curl the kick towards goal. And it's offline for a minor score. So Collingwood move back ahead by 1 point. 1-3 playing 1-2. 17 minutes played in the opening term.
I think both sides just a little handball happy at the moment. Even Collingwood not as slick as they usually are. It's a bit more sort of labour intensive building up the ball forward at the moment, which is down to the Eagles' pressure a little bit as well, it must be said.
Liam Baker brings the Eagles back into play. Kicks out towards Bailey Williams. Hand pass to Hewitt. Hand pass to Hoff. He breaks the tackle of Crispin. Links up once more. Around the wing. Graham gets involved with a hand pass. Underground hand pass from Hutchins. It might work in the end. Hoff keeps it alive. They run the gauntlet. Hand pass to Hewitt. He looks up inside 50. Kicks towards Jack Hutchins. And that's a good mark. In the right forward pocket, he claims the mark. And Jack Williams has it on a bit tighter than a 45-degree angle, but the kick from about 45 metres out.
Well, West Coast at the moment, 26 kicks, 44 handballs.
So high risk, isn't it? High risk, high reward.
Yeah,
I mean, that time it worked, didn't it? Yeah, and Collingwood just a little bit off, you can tell. And I think, this time, Collingwood at their best, they nail it there, don't they? They shut that down there at half forward, but just a half a step off, and credit to the Eagles. Hoff was terrific there, and he was involved 3 or 4 times.
Jack Williams has one already, looking for his second. The shot on goal is across the face. And in the end, it's rushed through for a minor score for the Eagles. Lex Pesce on the boundary with scores level at 1-3-9 apiece.
Harley Reid has just come off and he looks like his left ankle is bothering him a little bit. He's had some work done by the physio, so hopefully that doesn't impact him too much.
Thanks, Lex, as Houston puts the kick right through the centre of Docklands. It'll be coming back the same way as Hewitt picks it up and hand passes it backwards for the Eagles across to Jack Williams. Hand pass across to Duggan. He puts it inside 50 now for the Eagles right at the top. It'll be a stoppage on the paint of 50 as Ed Allen is wrapped up by Clay Hall.
Yeah, he's listed as 194, Ed Allen. And the long arms too, just a couple of times, hasn't he? A couple of intercept marks, and that time looked like the kick was going to carry, but just able to get the hand up and intercept. Really good.
And it's Long that takes it from the stoppage. Hand pass across to Pendlebury. Might have been tackled without it. He was. Free kick going the way of Scott Pendlebury against Duggan. And Pendlebury will have it and just chip it forward. He looks for Nick Dacos, who's on the lead. Can't take the mark. It's spoiled down. It's a holding free kick going the way of the Eagles this time. And it's going to Cripps. So Cripps has got the footy now. And he's 65 metres out from goal for the Eagles. Sends the ball into the forward pocket. Howe tries to get a fist to it. Couldn't manage to hold it until Pendlebury just scoops it over the boundary line. A few calls for deliberate, but it will just be a rush behind for the Eagles as they go up by a point now. 1-4 playing 1-3. Nearly 19 and a half minutes played in the first quarter.
Earlier today, Hawthorn by 85 points over North Melbourne. The Gold Coast Suns by 19 points over the Demons. Eagles leading by a point early here as Jeremy Howe brings Collingwood back into play. Kick never got to Sullivan, and the intercepting mark is taken by Tom McCarthy at right half forward for the Eagles. What an impressive debut it was for him. 30 disposals, over 500 metres gained. As he kicks the Eagles inside 50 once more. It's over the head of Shanahan on debut, and it's spoiled away by Collingwood. Josh Dacos gathers, touches the footy on the turf as he looks for an avenue out of defence. Kicks it wide of Hoskin Elliott, and in the end, it runs out of play through Sandy Brock, who takes it over the boundary line, and a throw in at left half forward for the Eagles. They lead by a point, 1-4-10 to Collingwood, 1-3-9.
So a little bit of a scrappy opening term so far, or a bit messy.
A little bit.
Neither side able to really gain any sort of clear advantage. As Pendlebury pulls it out. His hand pass, though, is touched by Graham, and he halts it. So Hewitt picks up for West Coast, and it'll be another stoppage.
Well, even the old maestro just being a little bit too cute at the moment. Trying a perfect play. Sometimes, first versus 18th. Just get back to basics.
Williams taps it out to Graham, who just tries to shove the kick inside forward 50 for the Eagles. Josh Dacos picks it up. His hand pass doesn't go very far, though, and Jack Williams can pick it up and carry it over the boundary line. It's a free kick in the end, going the way of Josh Dacos. So it will stay with the Pies. His kick, though, doesn't quite hit long, comes over the top. Kelly can get in there for West Coast and hand pass it back to Hall, who dodges left and right around Nick Dacos, and he will go and have a shot at the goal himself. It's touched through, and it'll be a rush behind. So West Coast Eagles lead now 2 points, a rush behind there, adding to their score. 21 minutes played in the opening term. It's just a goal apiece here under the roof of Docklands.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Cheerio to Maria, who's listening from Scotland, hoping the Eagles are competitive tonight. It's great to hear you on the ABC. Listen out. Long clearing kick for Collingwood out of defence, and Sullivan goes to work, laying up the tackle on Tom McCarthy, and the umpire will ball it up. Eagles have only led at quarter time on 3 occasions so far this season, so that would be a good win if they can be in front at the first break. It spills out the way of Jack Graham. He bangs it inside 50. Coming one direction was Josh Dacos. The other was Charlie Dean, and a good mark taken by the older of the Dacos siblings. He's called to play on. Darts across to his body and kicks up towards Sullivan. It's spoiled by Bailey Williams with Baker in support. And a boundary throw in for the West Coast Eagles at half forward.
So Collingwood aiming for their 13th win of the season tonight. West Coast just their second. With Collingwood playing one of 3 games under the roof of Docklands tonight that they will play this season. As the ball's tossed in, and Cameron just picks it out and takes it himself for Collingwood. His kick, though, is stopped by Baker, who weaves through some traffic, hand passes it, then goes on after it. It's picked up by his teammate in Kelly, though, who can hand pass to Bailey Williams, gets taken by side bottom. And it'll be a free kick going the way of the Collingwood veteran for the tackle that dispossessed Bailey Williams of the footy. Uses it to kick right to Ned Long, who's standing on the AFL logo. Hand pass to Pendlebury, who takes on Marrick, and hand passes across to Nick Dacos. Just loses the footy. Dacos couldn't take it. Marrick takes it for West Coast. Hand pass across to Harley Reid. He shoves it on his boot. Long's got a chance in here to turn it back over for Collingwood. He overruns the footy. Lipinski's there. So is Houston, who picks it up for the Pies in the end and uses Lipinski, who just sticks a kick out very wide. In fact, it's out of bounds on the full. No, it just stays in. Duggan can take it. Hand pass to Jinby. He hand passes to Bo Allen, who's taken slightly in a tackle, enough to make him fall over. Hand pass across to Cripps. He kicks right down the city wing, but it's Darcy Moore there who can take the footy and spin around and swivel for the Pies.
The Collingwood captain hand passes away to Cameron. Hand pass over his shoulder looking for Pendlebury. He's bumped off it by Harley Reid. He loses possession. Ned Long's hand pass out in front of Lipinski, trying to spin out of a tackle. His hand pass is chopped off though as Brockman for the Eagles on halfback. Hand pass to Flynn. Through the middle of the ground to Liam Ryan. He looks up. Options inside 50. Cripps is one. And he takes the mark in the right forward pocket. Thank goodness for that.
That's probably the worst 7 minutes of football that I've watched this year.
Commentator killer stuff.
This was just
take a breath, you two. In fact, take the rest of the quarter off.
Mistake after mistake after mistake.
Well, I mean, maybe I've got my we'll try and take. I don't want to overstate it, but they're lair rising at the moment.
Yeah,
Collingwood.
Yep.
They are. They deserve a good old spray at quarter time here.
Jamie Cripps to kick 1 goal 2 against the Blues, looking to extend the Eagles' lead. His kick is offline to the left. He does so, but by just 1 point. It's a 3-point lead the West Coast Eagles' way. 24 minutes gone. Hang on, we're just going to go upstairs and double check on what? I'm not sure. Pretty sure it was pretty clear it was a behind. So what have you noticed?
Well, I think he's...
It's a blood rule.
It is a blood rule.
Blood rule down this end.
Lex Pesher on the boundary. It looks like Harry Edwards is heading your way.
The doctor ran out to him multiple times and shattered him a little bit. It was like he was tagging himself.
Maybe
Now he's
it's
forced him
concussion.
off, so they might want him to go and do that concussion test. And he's shaking his head. He's not happy about having to come off. So stay tuned.
Good call, Lex. There's no claret there either. So, that might be the HIA test for Edwards.
In the end, it is a behind. The kick comes out wide towards Sullivan. And will be out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. So, Ball, you just kind of alluded to it there, but how hard is it sometimes when you're the top team and you're playing the bottom side that it takes you a while to kind of adapt when you're playing a side that's a lot less...
Yeah, it can be, and I don't want to underestimate. I think, West Coast heat and pressure's been really good, but at the moment, Collingwood are inviting it just by overuse of handball and trying to create perfect plays. And, if you wanted to go to extremes, I think they are. They're rising a bit.
Yeah.
And, I think that's where we'll see senior players. And, in fairness, it's been the senior players a lot of the time that have been the culprits. So they're the ones that need to strip it back to basics here and just go back to putting the ball on your teammate's chest. Nothing too cute. Stop trying to bite off more than you can chew with a kick through the middle.
Here's West Coast leading by 3 points at the moment as the ball is tossed in. Hutchinson runs onto it. He's tackled by Sullivan.
And what sometimes can happen when you're playing the bottom team, you can go down to that standard, unfortunately, at times. And I think Collingwood have it at stages in this quarter.
Why is it so hard to pull yourself out of that? I know exactly what you're saying, but you see it time and time.
Well, you've got to do the work early. That's fast start. So, now West Coast are in this game, leading the match. It could be a long half for Collingwood.
Off inside 50, looking for Bailey Williams. He brings it down to the front. And Jack Hutchins is careful not to give away the free kick and
I say that because all you do is give West Coast a little bit of confidence.
Well, that's
where
right,
you flip the page over. You look what Hawthorn did to North Melbourne. At no stage did they give North Melbourne any confidence today.
From the ball up, it spills down the way of Jamie Cripps. His kick is smothered though. Great defending by Jeremy Howe, who lunged forward and was able to smother it out of play. A throw in the right forward pocket for West Coast.
So acts like that can snap you back out of it, can't they? And there has been a few of those, scattered across this quarter. But it's more just been with ball in hand at the moment, Collingwood.
The Eagles kick the first goal through Jack Williams. Brody Myercheck the next for Collingwood. It's been an arm wrestle since then. From the throw-in, it spills down towards Darcy Moore. He and Jack Crisp are over the footy. Jamie Cripps in there as well. Lex Pesher on the boundary.
The Eagles doctors were chatting back and forward and really weighing up that incident. They've now taken Harry Edwards down into the rooms. He was dropping a few F-bombs, so he's not happy about it.
35 metres out from the Eagles' goal. Cameron knocks it down. Harley Reid tries to bust his way clear. We'll have another stoppage.
Inside favours in favour of West Coast so far this quarter, leading the Pies 15-9. As the ball's tossed up 25 metres out from the Eagles' goal, Bailey Williams just tries to hack it away. It goes straight to Crisp, who smothers it and then hand passes it to Sidebottom, who's taken down in a tackle by Brockman and locked up, holding the footy. Free kick West Coast.
Yeah, trying to fend off.
Good
tackle by Brockman.
Yeah, my initial reaction was, no prior, but he did.
Yeah, he tried to fend off there. Steele Sidebottom, so now he's copped one on the head too, Steele Sidebottom.
Good tackle.
Yeah, well, because usually that arm can go high in the tackle when a player's trying to fend off, but Brockman was able to keep that tackle low. He got a good fist of the jump of Steele Sidebottom's jumper.
So Steele stands the mark. Tyler Brockman slips as he's kicking towards goal. It doesn't affect the result though. Brockman's got another for West Coast. And the lead extends out to 9 points, close to quarter time. It's the 18th placed Eagles, 2-6-18, leading the ladder leaders 1-3-9 as we head towards the quarter time break. 29 minutes played in this opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport, your experts, Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball.
Just pressure. It's good. It's you're right, Rama. They've got to sniff the Eagles. They've been able to silence the crowd, which is the first port of call, isn't it, when you're a travelling team. They look fresh. They look on top of the ground. We know they're coming off the bye. And we've spoken about Collingwood just being a little bit off, a little bit flat-footed and over-possessing the ball a bit. And they've got a sniff. And that time Brockman was good enough to take his opportunity. It's an AFL team, Rama. There are premiership players out there. Correct. So I'd be surprised. Well, I'm really interested to see how Craig McRae reacts at quarter time here.
Luke Ball and Adam Ramanauskas, your experts. The Eagles are going to lead at quarter time for a fourth time this season. Harley Reid breaks out of a tackle, kicks along the turf, up towards half forward. Crisp gathers for Collingwood, into the middle of the ground for Pendlebury. The look away half pass to Long, who drives it forward towards Membry, but not before the siren sounds for quarter time. It's the bottom of the table West Coast Eagles who lead at the first break against the ladder-leading Magpies. Eagles with just one win for the season. That was the last time they led at quarter time against St Kilda. They went on to win that game. Previously, it was 5-1 against the Bombers back in round 6 in Gather Round, and 5-1 against the Brisbane Lions in round 2. So the West Coast Eagles by 9 points, 2-6-18 to Collingwood 1-3-9. The goal kickers Jack Williams and Tyler Brockman for the West Coast Eagles, and Brody Myercheck for the Magpies. Earlier today, the Gold Coast Suns defeated Melbourne by 19 points, so they snap a 3-game losing streak. They're back inside the top 8 and move to 6th on the AFL ladder. 9 wins and 5 losses. Ben King led the way with 5 goals, while a career best 5 goals to Jake Melcham in the Demons' losing cause, while Hawthorn defeated North Melbourne by 85 points. The Hawks running rampant in the final term. 6 goals to 3, in which Jack Gunston booted a career best 7 goals. Great to have your company. You can get in touch with us on the SMS 0437 774 774. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
As each day begins,
get the facts you need to stay informed.
Every day, across your day.
Stay with Australia's trusted news source.
All the latest, all verified.
Stay in the know with ABC News.
On ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Murray tries to get to Liam Ryan, and Kelly is on the break. The kick is inside 50 into the open goal, and the perfect start for the West Coast Eagles as Jack Williams bangs it through from the goal line. Quick transition from the West Coast Eagles, and they strike first.
Taken by McStay, gets towards Crisp at the back. He chips it inside 50, and this time it'll be a mark. And it's Brody Myercheck on the end of it, right deep inside the left forward pocket. Spins the footy around, and then goes the snap to put the Pies on the board. He's got the first for the home side. He still stands the mark. Tyler Brockman slips as he's kicking towards goal. It doesn't affect the result though. Brockman's got another for West Coast.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at Docklands. The West Coast Eagles lead Collingwood by 9 points, 2-6-18 to the Magpies 1-3-9. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Les Pesce down on the boundary. Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball are your experts.
We've spoken about Collingwood's. I'm just looking down now, trying to get a bit of a glimpse as to what sort of response we'll get from Craig McCallum. I think he certainly won't panic, obviously, but it just shows you, doesn't it, Rammer, that this is AFL footy, and if you're a little bit off, if you come in just thinking you're going to have a nice, easy night here under the roof, credit to the Eagles. They've brought the heat, and that's shown. So they end up level at contested possessions, clearances they're well ahead, and that was the area that you feel like, if they're going to stay in touch with Collingwood, that's the area where they needed to at least level off tonight, if not be in front. And they've certainly done that. They've been really strong around the contest, and that's led to some good field position. They had 15 inside 50s to 10, and really they had some opportunities that they should have taken that they didn't, and they could be 3 or 4 goals in front. In the end, the fact that they are a young and bottom team has probably let Collingwood off the hook a little bit with some of their I said lair-rising, maybe just not just getting away from the basics that make them, the great team that they are. So I'm sure they'll reset here at quarter time. No real hard tag. I mean, all eyes on Nick Dacos, obviously, after last week. Interestingly, Brady Hoff, who probably spent the most time with him. It looks like a bit of a team effort. Jack Graham spent a bit of time on him, and Hewitt's been beside him at stoppage as well. But Hoff's had 10 positions himself, as has Liam Duggan. And Nick Dacos has had a lot more freedom than he had last week, and had some moments, but again, hasn't really, like his brother, who had 11 possessions, hasn't really been as effective as he usually is. So, that's an opportunity for them to reset at quarter time, and they just haven't been slick with the ball. They've had enough of it, Collingwood. Just haven't been able to be really slick and precise with any sort of chain of ball movement or any inside 50 kick. It's really only that Dan McStay contested mark, wasn't it, that had that really legitimate shot at goal. So obviously plenty to work on for Collingwood, but really encouraging signs. And I think coming along tonight, I guess on paper we spoke about the gap in talent before the game, didn't we? So all we were looking for is that real sort of effort and intensity from the Eagles early on, and I think we've got that.
Well, I think what Andrew McQualter will be pleased about, so clearance is 13-8 in West Coast favour. So, you know, an inferior midfield, no doubt, to Collingwood's, but around that contest they're doing really well, equaling contested possession, equaling ground ball. Look, no doubt it was a scrappy first half. I don't think West Coast can maintain 42 kicks and 57 handballs for the entire game. Now, Bally mentioned risk and reward in that quarter, and a couple of times it did come off, but I expect Collingwood now to ramp up the pressure in this second quarter. That was a very un-Collingwood-like quarter. They weren't able to move the ball with any speed, they weren't precise with their disposal. They were scrappy going inside forward 50. They allowed West Coast numbers to get back and roll back. So it wasn't a great quarter of football, but that's what West Coast need to do.
Yeah.
To keep turning the game into a scrap.
Yeah, we spoke about where St Kilda were able to expose Collingwood last week, and clearly it all starts from pressure around the ball and turning the ball over through the middle of the ground. And with Collingwood's defenders pressing up really high, they had opportunities out the back, and they kicked one of their goals from that way in the first quarter, West Coast, and had a couple of other opportunities as well.
Second quarter underway. West Coast leading by 9 points as Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Pendlebury's onto it, kicks inside 50. Myercheck takes the mark. Working his way to the front and a vice-like grip to claim the mark.
It's a brilliant tap from Darcy Cameron, the informed ruckman in the competition, and that was just on an absolute platter. That's just how you train it. The centre bounce clearance and Myercheck with a contested mark.
Brody Myercheck in game 150. He comes in looking for his second. The clinical Magpie as they strike inside a minute of the second quarter. And the Eagles lead is cut back to 3 points. The previous time this season, Collingwood have only managed a goal in the opening quarter. Was opening round against the Giants. The West Coast Eagles 2-6-18 to Collingwood 2-3-15. Blue Ball and Adam Ramanaskas on Saturday night footy.
Well, game 150 for Brody Myercheck tonight. So that was Pendlebury out of the middle there. And this is how he's created a career, Brody Myercheck. Plays in front. He's just such an honest player, courageous player. You're always going to find a little bit of luck in a game if you're prepared to always play in front, prepared to always mark the ball in front of your eyes, prepared to always fly with courage. And that's why he's made a career at Collingwood, Brody Myercheck.
Couple of goals tonight for Myercheck. Straight from the middle. Here they are on again. Cameron down to Pendlebury. Inside 50 towards Myercheck. Couldn't take the mark. Comes to ground. West tries to hold on to it. For the Magpies, it's Baker that can take it. Hand pass to Ginby. Hand pass to Brock, who moves it across to Marrick as well. His hand pass across to McCarthy. Has to get a hand pass just outside of defensive 50. It'll be coming back in now and putting pressure on the West Coast Eagles defenders as Josh Dacos puts the kick right to the top of the goal square. Comes in.
West.
Can't mark. Charlie West, first game, first goal. Snapped from the top of the goal square. And the Collingwood cheer squad go wild behind the goal. And Charlie West starting at full forward in this second quarter. Puts his first goal in the big time on the board. It's 2 in a row for Collingwood as well. And their lead is out to 3 points. So Collingwood back in front, 3-3-21. West Coast 2-6-18. And another little young star coming through for the Pies on show.
First kick, first goal. Now he's had to wait until the second quarter. Bit of a slow start, but that'll settle the nerves.
He wasn't handballing it.
No, that's right. Yeah, Jamie Elliott was able to create the contest, bring the ball to ground, and throws it on the left boot, right in front of the Collingwood cheer squad. What a moment for him. Love how they flash to the family in the crowd. It's just terrific stuff. And as I said, that'll settle the nerves. He's had a few opportunities in that first quarter, a few little fumbles, some nervous fumbles. See if that can settle him into the game.
So he banged down the door in the VFL to get his opportunity in the ladder leading side. Collingwood back in the middle of the ground. Nick Dacos is clearing, hand pass chopped off by Liam Ryan. Gets the hand pass away to Hoff. Feeds the hand pass to Baker. McCarthy looks to switch it out to right half back. And the mark is taken by Jack Hutchinson. At right half back, Collingwood now leading by 3 points. 2 quick goals inside 3 minutes. As Hutchinson looks long down the outer wing. Sends it in the direction of Flynn and Bailey Williams. Darcy Moore rises from the back and takes the mark for Collingwood. He bounds away with a hand pass to Nick Dacos, who links up with Quainer, dodging and weaving as he gets away from Harley Reid. Hand pass to side bottom, back to Jack Crisp. He looks inboard, trying to find Sullivan, and he does. Just inside 50, pretty much directly in front. He'll shoot from 45 metres out for 3 Collingwood goals in just over 4 minutes. He's going to give it off to Nick Dacos. Risky kick. He's crashed into it in the end, and the Eagles will take it away. Good support in the end. As Baker gets a hand pass out to Hoff, and now a clearing kick by Jack Hutchinson.
He kicks down the city wing, and it'll be a free kick. No free kick to Harley Reid. The umpire will call play on to Quaynor, who held on to the mark and then just chipped it out to Josh Dacos. He chipped it barely 15 to Scott Pendlebury as he holds on to the footy. Left half forward, a high half forward for the Pies. Loads up on the kick. He'll get it right to the hot spot inside the forward pocket. No mark can be taken. Ball spills to ground. Hoskin Elliott goes in after it. We picked up by Bo Allen, who's happy to take the tackle by Charlie West over the boundary line for a throw in a few metres around from the left behind post. Forward 50 for Collingwood. The Pies kicking towards the Coventry end in this second term. The right-hand side of the stadium as we see it under the roof. And they've kicked the opening 2 goals of this quarter. Just 4.5 minutes old. The umpire flicks the ball in. McStay doing the ruck work, tries to get it down towards Elliott. Then McStay can hand pass it away. He was looking for side bottom, who ended up doing the tackling on Hall, and there'll be another ball up inside the forward pocket. Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Edwards has come back out of the rooms. He's sat down on the front of the bench, so it looks like he's cleared any concussion protocols.
Win one down the tap for West Coast, but straight to Jamie Elliott, who was on the move. He jags it on his right-hand side and puts through another one for Collingwood. 3 goals in a little over 5 minutes to wrestle back control in this game. Collingwood by 9 points, 4-3-27 to the West Coast Eagles, 2-6-18. And Jamie Elliott with his 37th goal of the season and his first of the night.
Well, that was clinical, really, there, out of the ruck contest. So that's 3 clearances to 1 in this quarter. That was actually, he sharked it off the West Coast ruckman in Matty Flynn there, Jamie Elliott. But you just can't give him that much space around a contest. Now, he's always on the move, so you've got to be pushing him and bumping him to boundary line. If you allow him to come back on the inside of that contest, his hands are just so good, Jamie Elliott, where it's a 1 grab, then snap over the shoulder and another goal for him.
Collingwood now out to a 9-point lead as it's back in the middle. Cameron just grabs this one himself and shoves it on his boot to get it to the top of the 50. Hoskin Elliott at the drop can't gather it, and instead it's taken by Hutchinson for the Eagles. Hand passes across to Baker, who tries to swivel around and run, and in the end ends up hand passing to McCarthy, who has the footy and kicks right down the wing. It's a kick going down towards Hoff, who had front position but couldn't take the mark against Perryman, and the ball will spill over the boundary line for a throw-in.
5 inside 50s to 0 this quarter for Collingwood and 3 goals.
So they've got back into that nick that's got them at the top of the ladder in this second term. The umpire ready to throw the footy on the outer side of the ground.
Oh, it's been clearance too, isn't it? 4 to zip. Cameron, Pendlebury getting on top around the ball.
Flynn down to Hoff, will dab the kick inside 50 for the Eagles. Moore can just get a tap away and find its way in the end to Charlie Dean, who helps Collingwood move the footy out of defensive 50 towards Pendlebury. Bumped as he can get the kick away, but it's still able to find the hands of Ed Allen.
He has it at right half back. Collingwood leading by 9 points. Works it up the wing to Lipinski. To the run of Dan Houston. Receives the hand pass. Back to Lipinski. Almost dragged down by Brockman. Josh Dacos juggles the mark. 1-2 by it. Swings onto his left. He rushed it and misses to the right-hand side. And Baker on the hop. Collingwood lead by 10 points. 3 goals, 1 so far in this second quarter through 8 minutes. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's unbelievable running by Josh Dacos. He got the ball to Pendlebury at the top of 50.
Yeah.
And then he's ran 120 odd metres.
Good to have a licence to do that as a half-back, isn't it? Just take off and get on the end of one.
Tom McCarthy with a big kick in. It comes only as far as Darcy Cameron, who puts the ball back inside 50 for the Pies. Baker has it. He's taken in a tackle by Lipinski. Holding the footy. Lipinski's free. Some good pressure from Collingwood inside 50. And Pat Lipinski will have his chance to have a shot at goal in this second quarter.
Yep, the sleeping Giants woken up, remember, isn't it? He was close, and I think he possibly always liked this a bit, McRae, but he was animated at quarter time to the extent that we've seen him, and we've got the response, as you'd expect. So really now over to the Eagles. Can their senior players and leaders recognise that, okay, good team coming at us, can we just control the footy, take the sting out of the game again?
Lipinski from 48 metres out, dead straight. The Pies have got 4 goals in this second term. They're starting to show their worth, and it's Collingwood ahead by 16 points now. The Pies 5-4-34, the Eagles 2-6-18. 9 minutes played in this second quarter. It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, well, they've certainly flexed their money. That's 4 goals in 10 minutes now. So, and it's really through run and carry. They've had 31 possessions only in this quarter for 5 scoring shots. So, it's a real domination. But this is now the challenge. You throw the challenge over to West Coast. And this happens too often. When teams get a run, they get a big run. A big run. Like now they've kicked 4 goals. So it's got to be, okay, let's try and lock this game down now. Whether we send a player back behind the ball for 10 minutes, one of the wingers drops back, just to sort of stem the flow, stem the scoring.
3-1, the centre bounce clearances in this quarter, Collingwood's way. Flynn tries to get it forward for the Eagles. Liam Ryan tangles with Josh Dacos, spills out the way of Graham. Didn't seem to have possession of the footy as he was tackled. Josh Dacos' hand pass to Cameron, releases Houston, kicks Collingwood up to a half forward. West on the bounce, gathers, tackled and brought down. Hand pass back to Crisp on the wing. He hand passes over the top, almost chopped off in the end for the Eagles by Brock, who tries to knock it forward. Crisp has another go for Collingwood, can't emerge with the footy. He locks it underneath Jack Graham, and the umpire will ball it up on the wing. Collingwood by 16 points, 4 unanswered goals so far in this second quarter after the Eagles led by 9 points at quarter time. Cameron swats it to the back, where Crisp picks it up for Collingwood. He can't charge his way through. Marrick got him, holding the footy. West Coast will take the free kick with Hoff's support and right half back.
So Crisp caught in his 252nd consecutive game. And it's Marrick with the free, who chips it across to Reid, who's close to the boundary, broadcast side of the ground, puts it on his boot and gets it just inside the forward 50. Again, more comes from the back, can tap it down to Josh Dacos, who hand passes it to Houston. Hand pass to Sidebottom, who moves it backwards towards Quaynor by hands. And he flares the kick out wide all the way to the outer side of the ground where Lockie Sullivan marks. So now the Pies are on until Sullivan turns it over, and it's Hutchinson who takes the intercepting grab. Hand passes to Cripps, who's in trouble as Steele Sidebottom locks onto him. Lipinski jumps on top. And it'll be a ball up in the centre of Dockland Stadium. So, where the umpire to toss the ball up just inside the centre square. Flynn moves Cameron out of the way, taps it down. It's picked up by Hoskin Elliott, though, of the Pies. And his kick will go towards Membry, bounces over the top of his head. Bo Allen couldn't gather it on the first attempt. Membry comes in to tackle him, just gets a hand pass away. It's tapped away, and then it's kicked down the wing, and it'll be coming across to a pack. Everyone forming at the top of it, punched down. Ryan can take it. He hand passes it across to Cripps, who then hand passes it to Jack Williams, tries to get a hand pass across to Flynn. It's stolen, though, by Perryman, who can hand pass it to Moore, and the Pies are trying to hold on to the footy here.
Nick Dacos to Darcy Cameron, hand pass to Ned Long, back to Dacos. Nick's hand pass over the top. Perryman had to wear the tackle, and Baker got him. No free kick for holding the ball. Graham works the hand pass back. Here's Sandy Brock, who can chip across half back. And Marriage takes the mark. Left half back for the West Coast Eagles. Collingwood by 16 points. His kick is a turnover, looking for Hewitt. Jack Crisp for Collingwood. Hand pass to Quaynor. Kicks up towards West. Arms outstretched. Can't hang on as Edwards sported at the last moment. Hewitt runs onto it for West Coast. Turns into the middle of the ground. He spots up a kick to Hoff. At the back edge of the centre square, looks out to the far side. He has Hutchins all on his own. Hutchinson can take the mark and play on. He has Ryan short over the top, wants to go more direct than that. Up towards Jamie Cripps, he can't take the mark. As it's scored out of play by the Collingwood captain, Darcy Moore. The Magpies leading by 16 points, 13 minutes gone, second quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Just taking the foot off the gas a couple of times, Charlie West leading out for the ball that time. I mean, he almost could have been paid the mark. Oh, just slowed down, didn't he? Just decelerated at the last moment, allowed young Edwards to get a hand in.
It's Collingwood out here via Nick Dacos. Hand pass to Hoskin Elliott. Long direct kick right down the wing. It's Membry in front, and he does well to wrestle off Beau Allen and take the mark and kick the Pies just inside 50. It'll be a bouncing ball in there. Brock's there to clean up. Hand pass to Baker, who can just put the kick slightly backwards, but into the safe hands of Marrick, who's standing all alone in defensive 50 for the Eagles. He chips right down the ground, and it finds Jobe Shanahan.
Good hands.
On debut for the West Coast Eagles tonight. He puts a kick into the centre of the ground. Hoff can't take the mark, but he's able to gather. Hand pass across to Baker, who hand passes it to Brock, who's about a metre to his right. Hand passes to Beau Allen. Hand passes back to Hoff, and this time Hoff will put it on his boot and find Marrick right on the AFL logo. Centre wing, broadcast side of the ground. Chips out left, out wide towards Shanahan, who moves the footy on to Brockman. 55 metres from goal. The approach is on here for the West Coast Eagles. In goes Brockman towards Reid. Can't take the mark. At the back is Cripps. He takes the footy, has a shot at goal, and he doesn't have the finish. So just a minor score, and Collingwood want to bring it in quickly. It's Collingwood ahead by 15.
Perryman got back and took the mark millimetres out from the West Coast Eagles goal. Works it to Houston in the back pocket. Hand pass to Nick Dacos. Chips it up to Ned Long. Lost possession as he tried to get a hand pass clear. Marrick, hand pass over the top to Brockman, one way then the other. Cuts around Perryman, centre and kick, no one's home for the Eagles. Darcy Moore's the only there. He gathers, tackled by Kelly, spills out to Liam Ryan on his right. You know how this ends. Ryan snaps across his body and puts through his first of the night, and the Eagles first of the second quarter. After 4 consecutive goals for the Magpies, their margin is back to 10 points Collingwood's way. 5-4-34 to the Eagles 3-6-24. Liam Ryan with his first goal of the night. Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball with you for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
It was really well done by Liam Ryan. He knew Darcy Moore was going to get tackled and try to release that ball to his left. So he basically ran past Darcy Moore, relied on Tim Kelly to lay that tackle inside forward 50.
Moore had to be stronger.
Yeah, had to. It's either hold the ball in and concede a ball up, or release it a lot quicker.
Well, it was 2 cough-ups. Nick Dacos here just coughed the ball up here at half forward for the Eagles, caused the initial turnover, and then the skipper just coughed it up way too easily, that close from the opposition goal.
The Eagles with their first goal of the second term, as the kick inside 50 comes from Bailey Williams. Brockman will be on the end of it, have a chance to goal himself. He's right at the top of the goal square, and he misses across to the right-hand side. So a chance to put 2 in a row there goes begging for the West Coast Eagles. Lead down to single digits, though. It's Collingwood ahead by 9 points. 16 minutes played second term.
Oh, it was great chase, great pressure from Josh Dacos, who sometimes can be criticised for not running as fast defensively as he does when he wants to get the footy, but that time, that was brilliant. Closing speed and caused the pressure.
Leading possession getter on the ground, Josh Dacos, with 16 disposals. He's had 7 so far in this second quarter. Isaac Quainer's kick was turned over. Beau Allen in the middle of the ground for Duggan. Kicks inside 50. Bailey Williams caught behind, and Dan McStay takes the mark for Collingwood. Having a run in the ruck as he kicks through the middle of the ground. Finds Dan Houston in front of Harley Reid. The 2 number 9s. Hand passes to Long. Collingwood's hand pass to Nick Dacos. Trying to break the Duggan tackle. Just got a hand pass away at the last moment. But Ed Allen had to wear the contact, and the umpire will come in and ball it up. Collingwood by 9 points. 5-4-34 to the Eagles. 3-7-25. West Coast led by 9 points at quarter time. Bobby Hill are laid out due to personal reasons, and Olaf Markov is the sub for Collingwood.
Pendlebury spiralling kick inside 50. Elliott had 2 hands to it, couldn't take the mark. Might have been spoiled by his teammate a little in the end in my check, but it will be a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Magpies. It'll be a ball up about 40 metres out from goal.
My check spoiled his own play there in Elliott.
So Reid comes bursting through the pack, can take the footy. Hand pass is put in front of Baker, runs onto it just at the top of the defensive 50, can chip it across to Kelly, who's down the city side wing of Docklands, chips it forward towards Cripps, who marks it on the chest ahead of Howe. And it'll have the mark centre wing, can hand pass it across to a running Baker, who can put the kick inside 50, was looking for Ryan, came out the back. It'll be a hand pass from Shanahan, hand pass back to Ryan. Brockman this time doesn't miss, and it's a goal to the West Coast Eagles. They used the outer wing of the ground and are able to slot through a goal. It's Brockman's second of the night, and they bring the lead that Collingwood holds back down to 3 points. So they're staying in touch, the Eagles, in this second term, West Coast 4-7-31, Collingwood 5-4-34. 18 minutes have passed in the second quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
They can be opened up, Collingwood. You know, if you're prepared to use the ball well and use the ball by foot, like Collingwood enjoy when teams want to over handball. But when you're actually able to use the ball by foot and break the game up, like you can expose their back line because they've got so many defenders that are attacking. You know, Perryman, Houston, Josh Dacos is down there at the moment. Quaynor, they love to attack. So if you're able to get it inside your forward 50 with some sort of speed, you know you're going to get one-on-one contest.
Collingwood had the first 5 scores of this second quarter for 4 goals won. The West Coast Eagles with the last 3 for 2 goals won. Collingwood holding a 3-point advantage. Free kick, Harley Reid's way for a hold in the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Duggan, inside 50. Shanahan leads out and takes the mark. The debutant in front of Darcy Moore. That was a good clunk.
Yeah, he's looked good. He's looked good. He had the handball, the goal assist for the last goal as well, or the handball that set it up for Ryan to give it to Brockman. Yeah, he's looked really good. Looks like a really smart player. Good leading patterns. That time taking advantage of the ski rope that Darcy Moore at times affords his opponent. And I think you'll have to close that space next time around because this kid looks like he really knows how to find the footy.
Job Shanahan out to the left. Will have to kick from just inside 50. The teenage Eagle. It's a beautiful kick. And he sends it straight through the middle for his first goal in AFL footy. From the New South Wales border on the Victorian side with Moama. His family in the crowd. And a debut to remember as he's able to put through a goal which puts the West Coast Eagles back in front by 3 points. 5-7-37 to Collingwood 5-4-34. He's 195 centimetres, 18 years of age, and every bit a natural forward as he led out there in front of Darcy Moore. Adam Ramanauskas, a loop ball with you on Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
He got to 3 or 4 contests in the first quarter, Shanahan, and he flew for those marks. But this quarter now, he's now taken 3 marks, I reckon, in this quarter, and they've all been clean one-grab mark. That's a great sign for any young forward in this competition where it's just a one grab, then on that occasion goes back and able to slot a goal from 50
Beautiful kick.
For his first one in AFL.
Great kicking action.
Collingwood right from the middle. Pendlebury hand pass to side bottom, hand pass to Long, flicks it off the side of his boot inside 50. It'll be an intercept mark though. And Brock takes it for the Eagles in the back pocket. Just chips it slightly further forward to Hewitt, who hand passes across to McCarthy, who's running past him, and he puts the kick right into the centre of Dockland Stadium where Flynn marks it. Hand passes it across to Duggan, who flares it out wide, and he can find Hutchinson just 60 metres out from goal for the West Coast Eagles. Puts the kick inside forward 50. Hoff was in the right position, spilled the mark, but can still get a hand pass across to Graham, across to Tim Kelly, and Kelly will go for the Eagles. And the Eagles move out further ahead and they take a 9-point lead. Exactly the same as what they were holding at quarter time. And the Eagles have now kicked the most recent 4 goals of the game after Collingwood kicked the first 4 goals of this second quarter. And it's 6-7-43 West Coast, Collingwood 5-4-34. 21 minutes played in the second quarter.
It's great transition footy.
Wow, I love the response too from West Coast.
Absolutely.
We thought the game was sort of, obviously going towards Collingwood and putting a score on the board, but they've kicked now 4 goals in the past 6 minutes, West Coast, and it's all been, as you said, Bally, through transition.
Just a bit off, aren't they? We spoke about it at quarter time. Maybe that burst here in the first 10 minutes. Collingwood, they thought, okay, this is how it's supposed to be, and just took the foot off the pedal a little bit. And when you're a little bit off at AFL level, there's some good players involved here, like we spoke about. Kelly, Duggan's having a really good game.
Tim Kelly with just his second goal of the season. Had 10 disposals against the Blues a fortnight ago. Free kick in the middle of the ground going West Coast way. It's taken by Liam Duggan, the captain who's taking on so much of the responsibility with Oscar Allen out with a long-term injury. Goes short to Hewitt. He veers out to the right, sends the Eagles inside forward once more. Bailey Williams the target, spoiled away by Darcy Moore. Side bottom unable to gather it. He becomes the tackler on Smith. He dropped the footy, spills out the way of Flynn. Hoff's onto it, trying to spin out of traffic. He's locked up. Josh Dacos with side bottom support. The umpire will ball it up. Eagles by 9 points, 23 minutes gone, second quarter.
Flynn with a little tap out. It's taken by Pendlebury, though. He hand passes it across to Perryman. He just chips it outside a defensive 50. And McStay mark. Holds onto the footy and happy to just wait for his teammates to get ahead of him as he chips towards Hoskin Elliott. Running down the wing, and he'll mark. Still defensive side of centre wing for the Pies. They've conceded the most recent 4 goals in the game and are down by 9 points against the bottom-placed West Coast Eagles late in this second term. The kick, though, from Hoskin Elliott will be picked off by Edwards. He hand passes across to McCarthy, who hand passes defensively to Jinby, who'll go for a run in the defensive 50, bounces once, and then curls the kick around towards Brockman. Good kick. And Brockman marks left half back now for the West Coast Eagles. Happy with what's ahead of him. He looks backwards into the defensive 50 before putting plenty on the kick and going right down the wing to a contest where Flynn's tall but can't take the mark, pushes it down towards Hewitt, looks behind him and then kicks forward, trying to put West Coast inside 50 and looking for Bailey Williams, but in the end it's Perryman who stands in front of him and intercepts for Collingwood.
Comes inboard to Nick Dacos, possession number 10 coming up for this second quarter. 18 for the match overall alongside his brother Josh. Looks to Jack Crisp, who leads to the half-back line and takes the mark in front of Marek. Collingwood trailing by 9 points. The Eagles have only been able to score over 80 points so far once this season. That was 108 against St Kilda, their only win of the season so far. On the wing, hand pass from Flynn to Harley Reid to Marek over the top. Links up with Hewitt. Hand pass looking for Ryan. It's chopped off by Dan Houston as he takes it over the boundary line for a throw-in. The Eagles leading by 9 points. Good response, kicking the last 4 goals out of the match after Collingwood got out by 16 points.
The umpire flings the ball back in. Cameron has front position on Flynn, taps it again, taps twice, and finally gets it out. It's Hewitt that picks it off, though, for the Eagles inside 50. It's a hurry kick towards Moore, who marks, and then he gets a late pump from Bailey Williams. Perryman remonstrates. Williams goes at him.
It's all right.
It's a free kick of 50 for Darcy Moore.
Yeah, a bit of physicality there by the big ruckman in Bailey Williams. It's, you know, every now and then it's not the worst thing to give away a 50-metre penalty to recognise that you're there. Your presence is felt.
And Darcy Moore will be walked up right to the centre. The 2 centre circles will be where he's placed or where Bailey Williams is standing. And Moore's got every player on the field ahead of him as he puts plenty on the kick, kicks it just inside 50. The ball's brought to ground. It's taken by Chris Pant, past to Lipinski. Marek wraps him up and he's held inside the forward 50 for Collingwood, where there'll be a ball up. So 40 metres out from goal. It's Collingwood trailing by 9 points. 25 minutes played in the second term. The Pies down by 9.
Thrown up, Dan McStay gets rid of Flynn, taps it down, but on the move is Jack Graham, tries to break through. He's tackled and pinged, holding the footy. Harley Reid comes in to remonstrate, but still Sidebottom able to lay the tackle as the ball really spilled out in the tackling attempt.
That's hot, that one.
But actually rewarding the tackle. And the Collingwood veteran with a chance to try and close the gap back to a 3-point lead.
It's an interesting point, that, Clinchy, like rewarding the tackle. Like the ball just sort of spilled out because of a chop of the arms, really, wasn't it? There was no tackling motion in there from Steele Sidebottom.
Then the umpire saw the ball come out and assumed the tackle had been laid. Steele Sidebottom, he comes in, fires on goal from 45 metres out. And it drifts from right to left and through for a minor score. West Coast by 8 points, approaching half-time here at Docklands Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Tom McCarthy, as he has done since his first game a couple of weeks ago against Carlton, takes the kick in. Just chips to Hall. He's in the right back pocket. He puts a bit more on his kick to get it to a pack that's forming. Moore was there and can tap it down for the Pies. It works for Ed Allen, who takes it, hand passes it to Sidebottom, who tries to move around the tacklers, gets dispossessed, go backs in after it, picks it up, hand passes it to Ed Allen. His hand pass goes straight to Tim Kelly. Hand pass to Hall, who works in a one-on-one with Brock and will take it and chip it across to Marek, and it's the West Coast Eagles that'll exit their defensive 50 as he kicks towards centre wing. Hutchinson, front position, couldn't take the mark. He was well worked off it by Charlie Dean, who's now in a foot race to try and get to the ball. He does some good shepherding so Chris can pick it up. His hand pass picked off by Baker, though. Hand passes it across to Kelly, and now it's the Eagles who'll try and move the ball forward as the chip across comes to Hutchinson.
That was so good by Liam Baker. He worked his backside off at 2-on-1 there, waited for his teammate to get there to help out.
Jack Hutchinson inside 50. The kick is just over the head of Jamie Cripps. The intercepting mark taken by Darcy Cameron, the Collingwood ruckman. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. West Coast by 8 points. 28 minutes gone, second quarter. And that's right, West Coast leading. Just the one win so far this season on the bottom of the ladder. Collingwood with just the 2 losses to Geelong and the Giants in opening round. On top of the AFL ladder is the Pies through Pendlebury. Working out to the back pocket to Harry Perryman. Chips it up to Jeremy Howe. Hemmed in at right half back. No real intent to move it quickly as they're moving closer to half time. Howe sends a long kick down the wing. Myercheck sets himself with Cameron there. Clears the fingertips, gets to the back. West has bumped off it. Hewitt gathers to the Eagles. Hand pass away. Side bottom lays another good tackle. And no chance in the end to try and break clear from Tom McCarthy, and the umpire will ball it up.
Like Hewitt's quarter. Yeah. Starting to get into the game. 8 possessions.
Cameron taps it down towards side bottom. He takes it with one hand. He's wrapped up by Hewitt.
He's got an appetite around the contest, doesn't he? He wants to be involved, which I love.
Elijah Hewitt out of the Swan Districts as the ball's tossed up in his part of the contest. It's tapped down by Nick Dacos, who bounces it back to him like a basketballer, spins around 360, hand passes to Pendlebury, who's hemmed in right next to the interchange gates and then can kick to the top of the 50. It's cleaned up though. And there's an intercept mark by Edwards.
No need to handball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he couldn't
kick the ball.
Couldn't be working any harder, Nick, and had plenty of the footy. But I feel like he hasn't been effective at all today.
Edwards' long kick goes out wide. Hutchinson takes it and then hand passes backwards to Baker, who's alongside him, and Baker's kick is no good as he was looking for Liam Ryan, and it'll be out of bounds on the full free kick. Darcy Moore.
He's had 11 possessions this quarter, Nick Dacos, but it just feels like he's chasing possessions. Yeah. Like, ball is spot on. Like, the real impact hasn't been there at all in this first half.
West Coast by 8 points. The Collingwood captain veers in, gathers a few extra metres as he runs away from Liam Ryan. Up towards half forward. Cameron's in the pack. Spoiled down to the front. McCarthy gathers. Kicks looking for Ryan. Down low. He can't take in the mark. As it ricochets off the half volley and goes out of play. On the SMS, your thoughts, 0437 774 774. Frank says Collingwood are the toothless Tigers at the moment. Radar and Homer, 2 tragic Eagles supporters who are travelling west in Norway, listening in today on the ABC Listen app. And Simon from South Australia wonders, is this counted as a away game for Collingwood, given they're not playing at the MCG?
No, they have to play 2 home games each year here at Docklands, and they're playing them 2 in a row after playing St Kilda last week, as Cameron with the kick goes directly inside 50. Plenty of players around the footy, and in the end it's one out by Shanahan. Hand pass to Baker, who hand passed to Bo Allen, who was in some trouble as Pendlebury found him, pulled into the turf, and it's all locked up right at the top of the 50. No free kick, as you can hear the boos of the Collingwood fans, but it will be a ball up 52 metres out from Collingwood's goal late in the second term.
He's gone back behind the ball, Shanahan. He's the loose player. It's good faith in your first gamer, isn't it?
Tap comes out to Reid. He's held in the tackle, one arm pinned, and he'll be penalised for it. Nick Dacos winning the footy. He's still 55 metres out from goal. His teammates might know the time. And he'll call on him now to kick after the siren.
Might have to be a tour, because you feel like
he hasn't got the distance.
No, on a...
So Harley Reid's 53 metres out from goal, standing the mark.
Yeah. Not even Nick's best.
No. Well, you'd have to run out and around and play on, so you can't do that. So
I'll back his old man, Peter. He kicked a great talk.
Thorpe incoming.
So here comes Nick Dacos. He's ready for the torp after the siren. He spirals the kick towards goals. It's offline. It won't have the distance, and it'll be no score.
Got all of that too, Nick.
So it is West Coast who'll take the lead at half-time. They led by 9 points at quarter-time. They're in the lead by 8 points at half-time. 18th place on the ladder. 6-7-43 is leading the top of the table. 5-5-35. At half-time, the goal kickers so far. So for the visiting side, the Eagles in front. It's Tyler Brockman with a couple of goals. Liam Bryan with singles. Tim Kelly with one as well. Jack Williams too. And Job Shanahan in debut has one, getting that in the second quarter. Well, for the Pies, it's a couple for Brody Myercheck, and then one for Jamie Elliott, one for Pat Lipinski, and Charlie West as well in his first game has a goal as the Eagles take an 8-point lead into the main break.
So Collingwood kicked 4 goals, got in front by 16 points. The Eagles were able to answer and keep the last 4 goals of the half. So the Eagles once more in front at the second break. Adam Romanascus and Luke Ball, what has impressed you the most about the West Coast Eagles and their application, and You've touched on it a few times. Collingwood just a little off so far tonight, but I guess the game not slipping that far away from their grasp.
It feels like with Collingwood tonight that they think they can turn it on when they want. Do the bare minimum.
Yeah, and then other than that, near enough's good enough.
Yeah. So it's like, we'll let West Coast then go and kick. We'll kick 4, then we'll let West Coast go and kick 4. So it's a dangerous attitude to have.
It is.
It's a very dangerous.
Yeah, I want to be careful.
Yeah, because I mentioned this earlier. Hawthorn put North Melbourne to the sword early in that game, and the game was over. Now West Coast have got a little sniff in this game where they'll go in at half time in the lead against the top of the table Pies and be feeling really good about themselves. And the conversation in West Coast room will be, hey boys, we're in this game. We're right in this game. We're doing the right things. What concerns me a little bit with West Coast again, 54 kicks, 53 handballs. They're playing a dangerous game with handball. So as the game wears on and you get a little bit more tired and your skills start to just decrease that slight bit, can they still hit the target with that handball? If they're able to, they were able to break Collingwood up. We saw on a couple of occasions on that city side wing on the other side of the ground where they were able to link up with handball, get ball inside forward 50 and score. So, it is a little bit of that risk reward that Paulie mentioned in the first quarter. But as the game wears on, they may need to kick the ball a little bit more. I've loved Liam Baker's effort in this game for West Coast. He had the 12 possessions that quarter alone. There was an effort in front of us really late in that second quarter where it was 2 Collingwood players, I think it was Ned Long and Dan Houston, that he had to hold off and just wait till his teammate got there in Clay Hall just to help out a little bit. But he fought, he scrapped, and that's the effort and attitude you want from your senior player then as a demonstration and as an illustration to your younger players. Paulie mentioned he really liked Elijah Hewitt's quarter, and that's because of effort of Liam Baker. Elijah Hewitt sees that and says, I'm going to join in now. I'm going to join into that. I can see the reward from that effort that Liam Baker gives, and if I give that same effort, maybe I get the reward with a few touches. He had the 8 possessions in that quarter. So, really positive signs for West Coast. Loved Jobe Shanahan in that first half. He looks a really smooth mover. He's got some good height. His hands look absolutely terrific. So, that bodes well for West Coast future when you got Jobe Shanahan and then an Archer Reid as your 2 potential key forwards moving into the future. Calling on the other, we mentioned Nick Dacos. I reckon he's just possession chasing at the moment. Impact's been very, very minimal. Right in front of us here again, late in the quarter, an unnecessary little handball to Pendlebury because he wants the ball back. Whereas just get that ball on the boot, get it going your way. Yeah. I think Collingwood demonstrated early in that quarter, Bally, if you get it in there quickly enough, they're going to score.
Yeah, 12 possessions, 81 metres game for Nick. That's not enough, is it? That's not him at his best.
74.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my eyes. How are my eyes going? Yeah, 74. Just adjusted to 74. There you go.
Adjusted again, 63.
You're going to keep coming down. What's happening here?
I think Champion Data are just updating as the half wears on.
So and he's not getting a hard tag, we know that. But I think it's almost like he's thinking, gosh, I've got space. What's this space for the first time in so long? And we're not questioning his work. I'm watching. He could not be working harder. He's just got to be a bit smarter with his disposal and have more of an impact. Yeah, that metres gain for him is the key. And that's been pretty consistent theme across the first half. I mean, the Eagles, it was a great response because we got the response from Collingwood, didn't we? That first 5 minutes, they went bang, 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 bang. You kicked 4 goals and you thought, oh, okay, maybe now even the Eagles, this young Eagles team will think, oh, well, this is what was supposed to happen. But really, as you said, it was the leaders. I loved Duggan's response to that. I loved, Baker. Yeah, his response to that as well. And then you're right, the younger players got involved. And that quarter, it was Collingwood getting back on top at clearance. From about that 5-10 minute mark, it was the Eagles through transition. And that's a concern for Collingwood. Their ability to be able to take the ball from turnover or from one end of the ground to the other without Collingwood really touching it. And we know, as you said, with this Collingwood team, they will give you a chance. If you can work the ball through and off the line, and if they're a little bit off with their pressure and their closing space, picture Houston getting caught in between. Picture Darcy Moore getting caught in between. Picture Jeremy Howe getting caught in between and players getting out the back. So the blueprint's there. For all teams really, but for the Eagles to go on and win this game. And I think Collingwood, you're right, just need to be a little bit careful there's enough quality, there's enough premiership players, enough experience in this Eagles team to know that they've got a sniff, and if they're going to keep the door open, the longer this game goes on, there might be some nervous moments. I mean, the crowd's completely out of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
The crowd's a bit nonplussed. You can sort of almost start to feel now that they're a little bit frustrated and thinking that they were going to come along for a nice night at the footy tonight, and this isn't supposed to be happening, and this isn't how it was supposed to pan out. So full credit to the Eagles, that quarter in particular, for responding to the challenge that was thrown down. And now, we see again how this Collingwood team going to respond after half-time.
Fifth time so far in 2025. The Eagles have led at half-time after leading by 9 points at quarter-time. They lead by 8 at the main break. 6-7-43 to Collingwood 5-5-35. The thoughts of Luke Ball and Adam Ramanaskas there. A cheerio here, who's a man close to Rama's heart. Mark, who's listening in from the foothills of the Snowy Mountains, sitting by a roaring fire with a beer in hand and a bowl of nuts by my side. Lucky to have the ABC Listen app tuning in, hearing you guys loud and clear. Great to hear from you on 0437 774 774. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Let's bring you the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Iran's foreign ministry has criticised US President Donald Trump after he accused the country's supreme leader of lying about US and Israeli damage to nuclear facilities. Dan Maya Navada has the story.
On Truth Social, Donald Trump has scoffed at Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's warning to the US not to launch future strikes on Iran, as well as his assertion that Tehran had won the war with Israel. Mr. Trump also says he's suspended work on the possible removal of sanctions on Iran. Its Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has hit back, saying any potential nuclear deal is conditional on the US ending its disrespectful tone towards the Ayatollah. On X, Mr. Araghchi says Mr. Trump should also stop hurting Mr. Khamenei's millions of heartfelt followers.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed a report that Israeli soldiers were ordered to open fire on people seeking food in Gaza. The report in the Haaretz newspaper quotes an unnamed soldier who described firing on crowds at an aid distribution centre run by the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation with everything imaginable. Netanyahu says the newspaper has committed blood libel against the most moral military in the world. Hungary's annual LGBT Pride March is expected to go ahead, defying Prime Minister Viktor Orban's legal threats against queer rights activists. March organisers are hoping for a record attendance despite mounting pressure from nationalist conservative politicians and police to stop any display of pro-LGBTQI+ material. Police have issued a ban in line with the new law restricting gatherings considered to be promoting homosexuality. Orban has warned that those who attend will face possible legal repercussions. A 41-year-old Aboriginal man has died in custody in Sydney's West. A spokesperson for the private operator of the Parklea Correctional Centre says he died at Westmead Hospital last night. The spokesperson says a group of inmates staged a peaceful protest in response to the death. Police say initial inquiries lead them to believe that the man's death is not suspicious. The matter will be subject to a coronial inquest. Women going through menopause and perimenopause will be able to access longer, more affordable GP consultations from Tuesday. A new Medicare rebate for menopause health assessments will be available as part of the federal government's previously announced $573 million investment in women's health. Assistant Minister for Women and Health, Rebecca White, says the cost of visiting a GP has prohibited some women from seeking help.
From the 1st of July, we're making changes to Medicare so that more women can access timely care with fewer out-of-pocket expenses. And that's particularly true for women who might be dealing with endometriosis or perimenopause or menopause, who have often had their symptoms dismissed.
2 men are being treated for injuries after a double motorbike crash in Queensland's Somerset region. Emergency services were called to a 2-vehicle motorcycle crash on Esk-Quilcroy Road in Hazeldean at around 2:15 this afternoon. A man in his 30s was airlifted to hospital with significant leg injuries. The other driver, also in his 30s, was taken to hospital with leg injuries. Staying in Queensland, where former State Government Minister Rod Welford has died at the age of 66. Mr Welford served in several ministerial portfolios in the Beattie government, including Attorney-General and Minister for Education. He represented the North Brisbane seats of Everton and Stafford before retiring from public life in 2009. In a social media post, Queensland Senator Murray Watt paid tribute to Mr Welford. Senator Watt described the former minister as someone who lived his passion for social justice and protecting our natural environment every day. Turning to sport, and a board member of Perth's incoming NRL club says one of the key first tasks of the organisation will be to show its connections to local sports fans. The Perth Bears will join the competition in 2027 and will wear the traditional red and black of Foundation Club North Sydney, which became defunct in 1999 at the game's highest level. Former WACA Chief Executive Christina Matthews was confirmed to the Bears board yesterday. She's told ABC Sports Talk she has faith that the club will be competitive from early on in their existence, but the board's focus will start with building the Bears brand locally.
How do we connect and make sure everybody knows about the Perth Bears and that we sort of embed ourselves in Perth and WA culture as quickly as possible? You know, dismiss the concept that the Bears is an intruder into the landscape of Perth and WA.
That brings up to date with the latest ABC News.
The ABC Listen app has it all. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, Wimbledon, and West Indies versus Australia. Oh, and did I mention we're doing the footy every weekend? ABC Sport on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Pendlebury's onto it, kicks inside 50. Myercheck takes the mark. Brody Myercheck in game 150. He comes in looking for his second. The clinical Magpie as they strike inside a minute of the second quarter.
Dacos puts the kick right to the top of the goal square. Comes in.
West.
Hard mark. Charlie West. First game, first goal. Snaps from the top of the goal square. And the Collingwood cheer squad go wild behind the goal.
Brockman, one way then the other, cuts around Perryman, centre and kick, no one's home for the Eagles. Darcy Moore's the only there. He gathers, tackled by Kelly, spills out to Liam Ryan, on his right. You know how this ends.
Came out the back, it'll be a hand pass from Shanahan. Hand pass back to Ryan. Brockman this time doesn't miss, and it's a goal to the West Coast Eagles.
Job Shanahan out to the left, will have to kick from just inside 50. The teenage Eagle, it's a beautiful kick. And he sends it straight through the middle for his first goal in AFL footy.
Hoff was in the right position, spilled the mark, but can still get a hand pass across to Graham, across to Tim Kelly, and Kelly will go for the Eagles. And the Eagles move out further ahead and they take a 9-point lead.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Docklands, and it's the West Coast Eagles who lead Collingwood by 8 points. 6-7-43 to the Magpies, 5-5-35. An entertaining clash between the first place Pies and the bottom place West Coast Eagles, and at the moment the Eagles are right up for the fight. Matt Lynch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Luke Ball and Adam Ramanaskas are your experts on ABC Sport. Earlier today, Hawthorn by 85 points over North Melbourne. The Hawks 23-12-150 to the Kangas 9-11-65. Jack Gunson with a career best 7 goals. Marbiel Joel booted 5 while Nick Larkey kicked 5 for the Kangaroos. Hawthorn led by 20 points at quarter time. Then they booted 8 goals to 3 in the second quarter to lead by 51 at half time. And they didn't look back from that point onwards, booting 6 goals to 3 in the final term. So the Hawks with a big win to make their way up the AFL ladder. Well, the Gold Coast Suns also worked their way back inside the top 8. A 19-point win over the Demons at Carrara. 15-14, 104 to the Demons, 12-13, 85. In front of 13,000, Ben King booted 3 goals. A career high, 5 goals for Jake Melcham and 3 goals for Cozzy Pickett. So for the Suns, it snaps a 3-game losing streak as they move to 9 wins and 5 losses, looking for their first appearance in finals in their club's history. Don't forget, tomorrow from midday, AFL Sunday with myself and Bob Murphy, taking you through all the matches so far and, of course, what's still to come, with the Tigers hosting the Adelaide Crows in the Sunday fixturing, and the final match of the round, the Fremantle Dockers taking on St Kilda. The return of Ross Lyon against his former club, and it is the last of the bye rounds with the Brisbane Lions, Essendon, GWS and the Cats all having the weekend off. So we're back to the full fixturing of 9 matches taking place next weekend. Just a reminder that so much of the action is available on the ABC Listen app. So if you are a sports lover, that's your best place to find it. We have so much coming up for you. So The first test between Australia and the West Indies. Australia prevailing in the early hours of the morning, although we did play a little bit extra, I think, than what was expected. But the Aussies able to get the victory courtesy of 5 wickets to Josh Hazlewood. Wimbledon is getting underway, and we'll have coverage of that on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC Sport button. That's where you can find the NRL, the AFL available on the AFL button. If it's not on your local radio, of course, any game across the weekend's footy is available there. The second test between Australia and the West Indies gets underway on Thursday, July the 3rd. International football with the Matildas taking on Slovenia in the friendlies, the first of which was on Thursday night, a 3-0 victory in the first of the matches over Joe Montemiro, the new coach of the Matildas. The second is in Perth on Sunday night. And we're very excited to be bringing you the Rugby Union, the British and the Irish Lions Tour of Australia. The first game between the Wallabies and Fiji in Newcastle. That's on Sunday, July the 5th. So it's all available for you on the ABC Listen app. Your thoughts on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Larry from Mount Beauty says, thanks for the coverage, you guys and girls. Don't have access to subscription TV, so I'd be lost without the ABC. Dan from Perth, been a frustrated Eagles fan for many years now, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Hutchinson and Harley Reid looking good, especially, and Liam Baker is our next captain already. Sue says, we're home in Wangaratta, but wish I could have made this game. Her husband had surgery, unfortunately, hoping for a great second half for the Eagles. And so many of the Western Australian fans who have endured a tough season to date with just the one win so far for the West Coast Eagles. That came against St Kilda. How much longer can they continue the fight? Luke Ball, Adam Ramanaskas, and what would Andrew McWalter's message be at halftime, knowing full well that they've been able to take it up to the ladder-leading Pies?
Yeah, maintain the rage if they can. We spoke to Alistair Clarkson today, AFL Saturday, just around, so we know the journey they're on, and how do you start to build a winning mentality across your group, a young group, and set them goals that you can tick off. And I've got no doubt that Andrew McWalter will be doing the same with this Eagles team. Can we win quarters? How many quarters can we win? How many times can we still be in the game at three-quarter time? So half-time, okay, that's work done, but let's reset. Let's see if we can win this quarter or be close at three-quarter time and really put pressure on the team that's expected to come out here and win today. So just looking for little wins across the day, and really your leaders need to drive that, of course. We know, like we spoke about that quarter, I thought they certainly did that after Collingwood had come out firing. The response was led by those experienced players, and then the younger players got on board. So more of that, and from Collingwood's point of view, they've got to get the ball inside 50 more. I think too much, a bit of overuse. We spoke about trying to create a perfect play and inviting pressure. And, it doesn't matter where the team is on the ladder, AFL footy. If you overuse the footy and invite pressure, then give the other team a sniff. It'll come. Love to see the Pies be a little bit more direct with their footy this quarter. They've only had 23 inside 50s. That's not going to cut it against anyone, really, in terms of being able to kick a winning score. So clearance is important. We know that. We always are. But love to see Collingwood be a little bit more precise and also decisive and direct with the ball in hand this quarter.
So it's the team sitting on the bottom of the ladder, West Coast, that are holding that lead. 8 points at half-time. They led by 9 at quarter time. And at the main break, they are leading Collingwood, who's at the top of the AFL ladder at the moment, as the umpire restarts play in the centre of the ground. Flynn with an underground hand pass to Reid. It's a free kick going the way of the Pies from the centre. And it's Ned Long that takes it. Just chips it towards Nick Dacos, who marks and holds on to it. He's just forward of the centre circles. Had a kick after the siren at the end of the second term. Tried to go the talk from 55 metres out for no score as he kicks it inside the forward 50. Falls at the back for Cameron, who hand passes it away. Baker's there to pick it up and hand pass it away to Graham. And he exits the West Coast Eagles from defensive 50. Will only get as far as half-back for the Eagles. So the hand pass comes away towards Charlie Dean in the end, who just got it on his boot and it went out of bounds on the full. So a West Coast free kick will be coming the way of Cripps, or it will be coming to Marrick, who is closest to the footy. And he'll take the free kick it is in the end, as West Coast lead by 8 points, just a minute played in the third term.
Marrick wants to come into the middle of the ground, kicks for Flynn, it's lace out, hand pass to Baker, trying to get through the gauntlet, break out of a Sullivan tackle, gets the hand pass across half back. when McCarthy swings the kick back out. Marriage has it at right half back, so looking for an avenue forward. Kicks for Harley Reid. Can't take the mark as it's spoiled away by Dean. Onto it. Perryman lays the tackle, and it's locked to the chest of Jamie Cripps. Collingwood CEO Craig Kelly was floating around the media area. He wasn't trying to find the coach's box, was he?
Oh, he tried to bash me on the way through.
He did say you were looking fit, Rama, which is sort of a backhanded compliment, I'm sure. Ned Long bumped as he gets it kick away, and it goes out on the full. Free kick going the way of the West Coast Eagles, and Harry Edwards wanted to take it, but he wasn't actually outside the field of play.
So we move back to that position outside the field of play. It's Tom McCarthy's backwards, but this time Edwards will go forwards and he'll get it right to right half forward for the West Coast Eagles as Reid flew up, got a hand to it, couldn't take a spectacular grab, and the ball spills to ground. And it's Cameron on the back of the pack. Reid just locked him in, and it'll be a ball up now. 55 metres from the Eagles' goal. It's the Eagles leading by 8 points early stages of this third term as the tap down comes towards Ginby. He hand passes it to Hoff, hand pass to Marrick, who moves the footy backwards via Edwards, via Kelly, then hand passes back to Edwards, who'll go inside forward 50. And set mark taken by Howe. And it's the Collingwood defender. Stands in the pack and is able to intercept the footy and hold on to it left back pocket.
Even here, we're really early into this third quarter, but it's just not the natural spread. Like usually Jeremy Howe takes that mark and you see Collingwood players spreading everywhere. It's a free kick.
Kicks up to Jamie Elliott, got a shot from Ginby. Free kick will go the way of the Collingwood number 5.
But they're just a bit stationary, stagnant at the moment, the Pies, so just not the the expanses of the MCG. I get it, a bit wider and the like, a bit more room, but just need to work a little bit harder, the Pies, on the spread.
Elliott into the middle of the ground. Cameron can't take the mark. Offhand, side bottom, drops it to his boot. Kick ricochets off Ned Long. He slaps it forward. Chance for Collingwood, although the tackle is laid by Sullivan.
Someone's lost their boot as well. There's just a boot sitting at half forward.
Harry Edwards will get the free kick for over the shoulder. Works it out to Hutchinson. He's kick up towards Liam Ryan, where Jeremy Howe just taps it straight over the boundary line and didn't disguise that well at all. So Liam Ryan takes the free kick, tries to pull his kick, looking for Tim Kelly. Had to clear Cameron. No follow-up for Collingwood. Kelly's onto it, fires towards goal. He misses to the right-hand side. And a minor score, a 9-point lead West Coast way. Whose boot is it? Darcy Cameron.
There you go. The trainer's gone out and given it back to him.
I'm going to get that on before the next ruck contest, I would have thought, around the ground. Big Flynn might just accidentally on purpose trot on him.
Perryman kicks the footy out of defensive 50. Ed Allen takes it. Hand passes it across the long. He's swung down
there
the
it is
tackle.
Again.
And it's holding the footy. Free kick Eagles.
There it is again. Overuse of handball. Handballing to someone with their back to goal. Chest out. Take your space. Great pressure, though, from these Eagles players. Graham. It'll sink in eventually. The pressure's on.
And it's Graham footy. He kicks right to a pack. Spills out the back. Crisp takes it. He kicks it out wide towards Myercheck. Juggles the mark. And then can move the footy outside of defensive 50 for the Pies towards Elliott, who holds onto the mark in front of the interchange gates. Even though McCarthy's claiming he did get a fingertip onto that. But Elliott paid the mark, swivels around and kicks right to the top of the 50. Mick stays there, marks, plays on quickly, hand pass to Sullivan, who just dribbles the footy towards Lipinski, who had to wait, top of the goal square, can still manage to put this one through. His second means that West Coast Eagles' lead is dwindled back to 3 points in the early stages of the third quarter. And it's Collingwood 6-5-41. West Coast 6-8-44. Just 3 points in it, but it still is the Eagles leading the way. 5 minutes played in the third term. It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, again, it's hard work, isn't it? Around that time, it was a nice kick from Elliott just to the advantage of Dan McStay, whose hands have been pretty good tonight. And then some great off-ball running from Pat Lipinski, who you do feel, he's having a terrific year, Lipinski. Plays that wing role really well and just had, mountains of space, really. And even the kick from Sullivan made it hard for him, didn't he? The dribble kick, I'm not sure that was on. They had enough time to steady and kick the easy goal. Funny way, they just needed that, didn't they, the Pies? Sounds funny to say, but how close the game is. But it's hard work at the moment for them.
Luke Ball with you on ABC Sport. Darcy Cameron wins down the tap, looking for Nick Dacos. Hewitt slides in. Free kick contact below the knee, and Nick Dacos is going to get the free kick. Rather fortunate. He looks inside 50. Cameron's pushed forward, and he takes the mark in front of Bailey Williams. Then unfortunate the free kick for Collingwood, and Cameron charged inside the 50.
Yeah, just didn't go with him, Bailey Williams. So Cameron got the jump, recognised the free kick was going to his teammate in Nick Dacus, and then just took off, and Bailey Williams was just too slow to react.
Kicked 2 goals last week against the Saints, lining up against Rowan Marshall. He is one Collingwood player who is looking for a contract extension. He's out of contract at the end of next season.
Well, there'll be no problem there. The way he's going this year, the top 3 in the best and fairest, I would have thought at the moment.
As he starts his approach outside 50, looking to return Collingwood to the lead. He comes in. The kick is offline to the left and through for a minor score. West Coast lead by 2 points. 7 minutes gone, third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Oleg Markov and Jaden Hunt, the subs for tonight. As the West Coast Eagles try and exit their defensive 50 slowly. Brock holding onto the footy, 30 metres out from defensive goal. He goes with a long kick, and it's Jack Williams who chimes in from the side to mark. And just came in from the side of the pack, holds on to the grab, looks ahead and chips it across to Harley Reid. Number 1 draft pick from Tongala, playing at Docklands tonight. Just chips it out wide as well. So a slow approach coming now from the Eagles. And it's Duggan who marks the footy. He's still quite a few kicks from home for the West Coast Eagles. We'll put it inside the forward 50, looking for a pack. It's Howe standing back there again. Second time this term, he steps back in the same position to intercept for the Pies. Stop the ball from going any further, and he can chip out to Crisp as the Pies continue to trail just by a couple of points.
Crisp up the wing, Myche at the target. Worked his way to the front. Can't hang on to the mark, but he's first back onto it. Turns onto his right-hand side. What vision. Spotted Sullivan. Hand pass away to Long. Links up with Nick Dacos. Inside 50. Dacos magic. As Collingwood charge forward and return to the lead, courtesy of their superstar Nick Dacos. 7-6-48 to the Eagles, 6-8-44. The Pies with the first 2 goals of the third quarter. Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Well, you said during the halftime break that the crowd is quiet, the Collingwood fans. I think that may have just turned them on.
Yeah, and why not? And that's what we asked for, Remmer, wasn't it? That's Dacos at his best.
That's impact.
Yeah, taking the yards. Well done, Myche again. Heavily involved. And they had players for the ball, didn't they? And that's just a brilliant finish at full speed. Not a lot Hoff can do there, or a lot more he can do there.
Great fight by Myche on the boundary line here. Usually concede and let the ball go over the line, get a restart, but he wanted to keep the ball in, wanted to keep the ball moving forward. Sullivan, little handball. That's the impact that you want from Dacos. That's maximum. Whereas forward centre, kicking the goal.
So it's the 5th lead change of the match, and it's the Collingwood Magpies back in front. It's from the middle. Reid takes the footy. He's pulled down in a tackle by Pendlebury. And that is a free kick to the veteran, who takes it inside the middle, centre circles, and then kicks it right inside 50. Beautiful kick towards Membry, who was on the lead. And Membry will have a set shot now, 45 metres out from goal.
We know how smart Scott Pendlebury is as a footballer. He's done it for nearly 400 games now, but Harley Reid tried his fend off, and then Pendlebury just chopped the arm down, and then went up the hips with a traditional tackle, and there's nothing that Harley Reid can do about that.
So Tim Membry had a couple of goals last week in the win against his former side, St Kilda. He lines up now, 45-degree angle. It's a straight kick off the boot that never looked like missing. And Tim Membry puts another one on the board for Collingwood in this third term. It's 3 in a row. And Collingwood push back the lead out to 10 points. They're 8-6-54, the Magpies. West Coast 6-8-44. 10 minutes played in the third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Luke Ball and Adam Ramanauskas.
Well, Bally, clearance 4-1 this quarter, but 3 of those have come directly out of the centre square. So, getting full value there. Three goals, 1 to start this quarter from 5 inside 50. So really going in there and scoring at will.
It was direct. There was no thought of inventing a handball there from Pendlebury. It was, okay, well, we know that there's one-on-ones ahead of the footy. Roll and get it in deep to the advantage of Tim Membry, who's had a pretty quiet night, but that time just used his body as well against the younger opponent. And a lovely finish.
Becomes the 6th individual goal kicker for the Magpies as they lead by 10 points. Back in the middle of the ground, Bailey Williams reaches over Cameron, wins down the tap to Harley Reid, who's tackled by Pendlebury. 37-year-old wasn't going to fall for any tricks there and got him right around the hips. Thrown up in the air. Cameron and Bailey Williams once more. Free kick for a hold in the ruck, and Bailey Williams is going to take it. Back edge of the centre square. Turns and kicks to Hoff. He has it to the right of the centre circles. Collingwood with 3 goals to start this third quarter. Out to Harley Reid on the Docks wing. Hand pass away to Brock. Gives it inboard to Tom McCarthy, who looks up inside 50. Kicks towards the teeth of goal. In the pack. No mark taken by Flynn. Spills out. Josh Dacre overran the footy. Perryman tackled by Jamie Cripps, who follows up with a second tackle in the right forward pocket, just 25 metres out from the West Coast Eagles goal. Collingwood by 10 points.
Players converging around the footy as the umpire tosses it up. Flynn can get a hand pass down, only as far as Cripps, though his hand pass will be taken by Hall, who just tried to snap it goal. It went higher than it did long. Ed Allen was at the drop, couldn't pick it up too cleanly. Hand passes it out of bounds. The umpire will say throw it in. So no insufficient intent there. It'll be a throw-in just a couple of metres around from the left goal post. West Coast kicking towards the Coventry end in the third term, but it has been Collingwood with the first 3 goals of this third quarter to take a 10-point lead at this point in the match as the ball is tossed back in. Graham grabs it and then he's tackled to the ground, and it'll be another stoppage just 30 metres out from goal for the Eagles. So they did lead by 8 points at half-time, which might have surprised a few as Collingwood's now taken back the lead. Nick Dacos running after it, doesn't pick it up in the end. It'll be a shot at goal coming from Graham. It'll not make the distance, stop short, and Darcy Moore just reads it under the drop of the footy against Jack Williams to take the intercept mark for the Magpies.
He's got to get an arm into spoil there, Jack Williams.
Darcy Moore hugs the boundary line with a kick looking for Jamie Elliott. He kept Baker out of the marking contest, and off hands it goes out of play.
That's the one that drives coaches crazy, where it's a genuine one-on-one marking contest. I know Darcy Moore's a good player, but you still got to compete. Jack Williams, bring the ball to ground. Get a restart. Get your small forwards into play.
Get the first goal of the game. Jack Williams from the throw-in. Spills out towards Nick Dacos. No gather. Here's a chance for Hall. Hand pass away to Baker. Kicks inside 50. Jack Williams has it spoiled away from him. Bailey Williams knocks it down. Spills out towards Hewitt. Cripps tries to keep it alive. That's Jamie Cripps for the West Coast Eagles. And it goes off hands and across the boundary line for a throw-in. Umpire says insufficient intent.
Wow. What?
So still Sidebottom's going to get the free kick in the left back pocket for Collingwood. Everyone was a bit flat-footed, not to mention Jamie Cripps, who couldn't believe it was against him. Short to Pat Lipinski. Left half back for the Magpies. He's kicked 2 goals in his last 3 games. In each of his last 3 games, as Lipinski up towards the wing. Cameron can't take the mark. Sullivan's hand pass to Jack Crisp, who's rode down by Liam Baker. And now I assume this is going to be holding the ball. Umpire a little late to gesture. Free kick going away the West Coast Eagles on the Dock swing.
Liam Baker with the free kick, just kicks it in, kicks it out of bounds on the full, and he knew at the moment it hit his boot. He spun around in frustration, and that's out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Perryman for the Pies. So Perryman has it at left half back. From the free from the out of bounds, he'll kick down the wing. Membry had front position, pulled it down, and Crisp did the tackling. It'll be a ball up as everyone gets up from the pack with Baker at the very bottom, and he hands it the footy back to the umpire. So a ball up just forward of centre wing. Flynn gets a tap down, goes through the legs of Sidebottom. Stay gets a hand to it, can hand pass it to Pendlebury, who flicks the footy back to his old mate and steals Sidebottom. Inside 50, Sidebottom will send it. Hoskinelli at the back, doesn't take the mark, spills through his hands. Jinby has a go at it. Myercheck's back with the footy. He kicks it through some traffic. But at the last line of defence, it's Hutchinson who holds on to it. He was kicking towards Hewitt. He got in front of him and could bring the footy down to ground, but he had some support coming from Duggan, who tried to kick out, and he kicks it to the safety of his ruck in Flynn, who marks about 45 metres out from defensive goal, but gives his Eagles teammates a chance to breathe as they trail Collingwood by 10 points in the third.
It was a 2-on-1, and the Eagles ruckman was able to pull in an important mark. Kicks up the wing. Shanahan brought it down. Jamie Cripps' hand pass picked off by Sidebottom. Hand pass to Houston boundary side. He'll chip it back to Jeremy Howe, who's all on his own. At left half back, he looks up the wing. Jack Crisp hasn't moved. He's all on his own. He takes the mark. Hand pass to Lipinski into the pocket for Myercheck.
Yeah, well, that's poor defensive transition by West Coast.
Myercheck is going to give it off to Lipinski in a tighter angle, but about 10 metres closer to goal, 35 metres out, deep in the left forward pocket.
Just watch West Coast turn the ball over here on centre wing. And then what happens, none of their players then turn their head to run back defensively. Collingwood are then on the spread. They're gone. Lipinski involved twice now.
Looking up to open up the angle and snap across his body. It's across the face of goal and hits the behind post. Out of bounds on the full. So Collingwood hold a 10-point advantage. 16 minutes gone, third term. 3 goals to none so far. Collingwood's way on ABC Sport. Here's Lauren Borden.
So Duggan moving the footy out. Just chips it forward towards Hutchinson, who's been involved throughout this game for the Eagles. And he chips it backwards towards Jimby, just 15. A little bit of trouble exiting the defensive 50 as Jimby runs to his right, then darts back to his left to kick it along the city side wing. At the back was Howe. Rose up, took the mark in the end, held on to it. Maybe wasn't paid it, but played on quickly anyway by moving it to long. Hand pass to Chris, who hand passed to Josh Dacos. Tried to move it back to Chris by sending a blind handball over his head. And in the end, it's Houston that picks it up and hand passes it to Pendlebury. Inside 50 he goes, no mark taken. Hoskin Elliott at the drop, puts it through from point-blank range. And it's a goal to Hoskin Elliott in his long sleeve jump up. And Collingwood push out to an equal game-high lead of 16 points. They were leading by that margin in the second term before West Coast worked its way back to an 8-point lead at half-time. But now it is the Pies ahead by 16 points, 9-6-60, playing West Coast 6-8-44. Nearly 18 minutes played in the third term on ABC Sport.
Just looking at a replay of that hang from Jeremy Howe. He definitely marked it. The umpire didn't pay it. In the end, it didn't matter, did it? Quite got the hops of yesteryear, Jeremy Howe, but he can certainly still get up there. And in the end, it was just a direct deep entry. It was Pendlebury who said, I've had enough of this overuse of handball. Give me the footy. I'm going to pump it in deep. They had numbers there. They actually had an out number forward of the ball, Collingwood. And it was Will Hoskin-Elliott at the fall of it. Once the crumb had been created, it was good enough to snap it. So again, still a bit haphazard in terms of their ball movement, Collingwood, having to work really hard to get decent shots at goal, but just like them being a lot more direct.
Luke Ball with you on ABC Sport. Flynn out of the ruck for the West Coast Eagles. Gets the clearance to half forward. Josh Dacos intercepts, kicks out to the wing. And Hoskin Elliott, the last goal scorer, takes the mark.
But again, that
Barrett just had to spoil it.
It had to spoil it. It's a genuine marking contest. Take the body, take the ball.
Hoskin Elliott veers out to the right, kicks up towards Dan McStay at half forward. Can't take them up, but lays a big tackle on William Baker, and the ball is locked up at half forward for Collingwood. Magpies got out by 16 points in the second quarter after kicking 4 consecutive goals. The Eagles kicked the next 4. Same challenge in this third quarter. Hoskin Elliott can't break clear, and it's locked up.
And I'm sorry if I get frustrated with that to the listeners, but they're the little things that West Coast can control in their game. Like that's just a spoil, an easy spoil for marriage.
So Collingwood were pressing again until Jimby picked it up. Top of defensive 50, hand pass to Reid, hand pass to Baker, patrolling the half-back line, just chips it out wide to Hutchinson, who marks at left half-back and moves the footy along towards Beau Allen, but then Membry dived in and grabbed it and then clashed at the back as well with Graham.
Did well Membry, didn't he? It's a big hit.
Yeah,
it was Duggan rather.
Yeah, it was Duggan, yeah. It's a good hit by the captain.
Great couple of efforts, though, from Tim Membry.
In the end, it'll be tossed in outer side of the ground. So it's McStay doing the ruck work against Flynn. Tapped down to Harley Reid. Hand passes on his hands and knees. Just picked off easily by Ed Allen, who hand passes to Josh Dacos. Moves the footy along. It's Pendlebury now with it. Oh, he's held up on by 2. And Hutchinson and Reid, and it'll be a ball up just outside the 2 centre circles as Collingwood continues to lead by 16 points. We've ticked on to time on in the third term.
McStay in the ruck up against Flynn. Flynn tries to knock it down. Jack Crisp gathers, kicks up towards Myercheck, crashes the pack. Baker's first back onto it, trying to cut round Myercheck, who got him. Just got a hand pass away at the last moment. Spills out to Hoskin Elliott, kicks a worm burner inside 50. West gathers, that pass too sharp for Elliott. He swoops back onto it. Was he tripped? No whistle. Ball spills out. Baker tries to clear once more. Marek with a kick out of defence over the fingertips of Jamie Cripps, who's bumped off it. And Isaac Quainer takes the mark for Collingwood. Between wing and half forward. The Magpies about to go inside 50 for a 16th time so far in this quarter. Quainer veers out to the right, long towards Myercheck, who held his ground in front. The Eagles didn't really have too much tall timber in defence, and Sandy Brock was just pushed off it in the end, and just a strong mark from Brodie Myercheck, as he's done so many times across his 150 games.
Oh, that's... Look, yeah, okay, I might give him the benefit of the doubt. He slipped over there, Sandy Brock, but he's got to be better in that contest.
He's kicked one in each quarter so far. Myercheck's shot on goal is a flat shot across the body and fails to score from 35 metres out as Edwards takes the mark on the behind line. Collingwood by 16 points. Hand pass to Duggan as they switch across half-back, and Bo Allen takes the mark.
Little chip kick to Ryan, who's made his way all the way back to half-back for the Eagles. And then he puts a kick right down the city side wing to a contest that doesn't favour Bailey Williams, but he might win the free kick here. And he does. So it'll be a free kick coming towards Bailey Williams at centre wing. Preston Elliott returns the ball to him. He'll urge his teammates just to come further forward to him. Collingwood having kicked the only 4 goals in this third term so far as the kick comes down, but it'll be taken by Hoff. And passes backwards towards Duggan. He just chips a kick inside 50, goes through Pendlebury's legs. It doesn't quite work in the end for Jack Williams. In comes Howe, diving on after the footy, and then he's dived on top of, and the umpire crosses his arms to say mine.
I can't remember the last time I saw Scott Pendlebury fumble one like that. Had no pressure on him.
It went straight through his legs.
Straight through his legs, nutmeg.
So ball tossed up, but it'll work out here for Collingwood as Long just clears the defensive 50, puts it out wide, close to the boundary line. And in the end, Duggan's just happy to carry that over the boundary for a throw-in. So it'll be a boundary throwing out of side of the ground at half-forward for the Eagles. Collingwood leading by 16 points. 9-6-60, playing West Coast 6-8-44. 23 minutes played in the third.
Lauren Borton and Matt Clinch calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball, your experts for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. The second stoppage out on the city wing as Bailey Williams tangles with Dan McStay. McStay slaps it down, races after it, kicks a high ball in the middle of the ground. Jamie Elliott wrestling with Ruben Jimby. Off hands, it's picked up by Baker, dumped in a tackle, holding the ball. Quick whistle, and Jamie Elliott will take the free kick in the middle of the ground. He has players streaming forward. Kicks laterally out towards Sidebottom. Jimby didn't get a hand to it. Sidebottom's hand pass back to Pendlebury on the wing. Trying to find a way around Graham. Kicks inside 50. West on the lead. Cannons into Jimby as the ball spills clear. Onto it is Lipinski. Hand pass to West. Hand pass to Ned Long. In the left forward pocket. Kicks to the teeth of goal. He doesn't have the distance either. And the mark is taken by Edwards as he kicks out of defence. Out to Jamie Cripps, and he links up with Hoff at half back.
And Hoff moves the footy on quickly to get it down to half forward. Flynn will mark, but he hasn't got anyone ahead of him as Jack Williams goes running into the forward 50, but it might have been
doesn't need anyone.
Mark here, and Flynn will be paid a 50-metre penalty. So he was forced to hold up, and then Collingwood have given away the 50 metres.
Who was that against?
So Jeremy Howe tried to intercept the mark. No one stood on the mark, so Howe tried to come across. No, he didn't try and come across. He didn't move.
Well, Flynn was off his line.
Yeah.
So...
The free kick marches Flynn to about 30 metres out from goal. He eases this one towards the sticks and he slots it through. Collingwood's lead cut back down to 10 points. So it's West Coast 7-8-50. Collingwood 9-6-60 by the goal from Flynn off a 50-metre penalty. 25 minutes played in the third. Collingwood ahead by 10. Let's head down to Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Dan McStay has just headed down into the room. So he came off and it looked like he'd hurt his left knee, so he's just gone to be checked. I'll keep an eye on it.
Oh, he's had some trouble with that. Is that the same knee, Clinchy, from Anzac Day?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully he's okay.
I think that, sorry, Remit, yeah, that was on Charlie Dean, actually, who ran up to the mark, and I'm sure he was told to stand, and then back as there were Eagles players streaming forward. So technical, that decision, but it was there. So Eagles hanging around.
Matt Flynn, the former Giant, with his third goal of the season, keeps the West Coast Eagles in it. Back in the middle of the ground, Flynn doing the ruck work, wins down the tap, spills out to Nick Dacos, can't take it cleanly. Charging in is Jack Graham, got down low, wrestles for the footy. He's going to be penalised here. Had full intent to try and win the footy. He gets up and makes his point to the umpire, exactly that. Nick Dacos will get the free kick to the right of the centre circles. He chips it over the top to Jeremy Howe, pushing down from half back.
Just not sure how he's meant to get that out.
Well, it doesn't reward the player who's trying to win the footy.
He's not dragging it in under himself. He's winning the ball.
Howard right half forward inside 50. Myercheck knocked off it. Flynn spoils it down. Spills out the way of Bo Allen. Hand pass away to Graham. Hand pass to Hutchinson. Links up once more with Bo Allen. Good burst of speed at half back. Gets a hand pass away. Here's a chance for Hall. Links up on the outer wing. The kick up towards half forward and Tim Kelly takes the mark. At left half forward, he veers out to the right. Barrick charging forward. On the bounce, he gathers. Hand pass over the top. Options are plenty. Hand pass to Hoff. Cuts onto his left. Back-to-back goals for the Eagles. Brady Hoff able to steady. There was a moment where he thought he might have set him up for a hospital hand pass, but the Eagles string two together on the trot. It's back to a 4-point lead Collingwood's way. 9-6-60 to the West Coast Eagles, 8-8-56. 27 minutes gone, third quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Adam Ramanaskas and Luke Ball.
One end to the other. And I'm looking down at the Collingwood forwards. Rammer, a lot of hands on hips, a lot of teapots there. And, I mean, we can't underestimate the absence, I guess, of Bobby Hill and Bo McCreary in that forward line in terms of drop of the ball pressure. That's a number of times now that the ball has just completely rebounded out, hasn't it, when the ball's hit the ground from one end to the other. And geez, Bo Allen, didn't he start that with some absolute dash out of half back? Tim Kelly, who's worked in the game pretty well, and Marriage running forward of the ball. Really impressed with Hoff's game too. It hasn't been an out-and-out tag on Dacos, but he's worked really hard and had plenty of the footy of himself.
The Eagles keeping themselves in this game as Cameron takes the footy from the centre bounce and kicks it to half forward. Hoskin Elliott grabs it and just dabs a kick forward. It bounces nicely for Membry, who hand passes backward towards Crisp. Just punches the ball out to get towards Membry. That wasn't quite a legal disposal. So it's a free kick.
Been caught a few times today, Jack Crisp. Just trying to do too much for these Collingwood players. Yeah, absolutely.
Graham with the free kick works it to McCarthy, who works it backwards towards Duggan. And he's holding the footy, still defensive 50 for the Eagles. Chips it out towards McCarthy.
Just wonder whether they might need to inject Oleg Markov even forward of the ball. I'm looking at young Charlie West. And the ball hits the ground. That's the challenge for Collingwood at the moment. Oh,
Howe rises up. He's been threatening a couple of times tonight. And this time he holds on to it in a pack. And the kick off his boot is a little bit of a shank. Makes its way to Steele Sidebottom, though, who can mark. It's a nice mark there from Howe. And it's Sidebottom with the kick as he loads up to send it inside 50.
High ball in the direction of Jamie Elliott and West. Off hands, it spills to the front. There's a whistle. And it's a West Coast Eagles free kick going the way of Ruben Jimby. Lex Pesher on the boundary.
And McStay has just come out from the race. He's done a few run-throughs and he said, I'm okay to the doctor. So good news.
Good news for Collingwood fans. The Magpies with 4-2 so far in this third quarter, having trailed by 9 points at quarter time and 8 points at half time. The West Coast Eagles have been up for the fight. The kick out and towards the direction of Jack Williams. Can't take the mark. Off hands, Flynn. Slick hand pass to Hall. Hand pass to Reid. Harley Reid with a fumble and loses possession. Darcy Moore's hand pass to Quainer. Away to Nick Dacos. Switches across half back. Finds Ed Allen. At centre half back for Collingwood. Myercheck races onto the dockside wing. He can take the mark in front of Liam Baker. The fluency is lost from that point for Collingwood as he's forced back behind his mark. Swings onto the right-hand side. High kick inside 50, looking for Cameron. Membry's in the pack as well. It's gathered by McCarthy of the West Coast Eagles. Hand pass back, under pressure. Jack Williams with a bailout kick, straight into the middle of the ground. Houston marks for Collingwood, on the run from 45. Bang! The black and white response. Jack Williams under pressure, just wanted to get it out of there. And in the end, kicked it straight to Dan Houston, who made him pay the full toll. Collingwood answer back after 2 goals of the West Coast Eagles. The Pies by 10 points once more. 10-6-66 to the Eagles, 8-8-56.
Well, that's a heartbreaker for Andrew McQualter. There's 1 second remaining on the clock. So he had to get that wide. Like even kicked the ball out in the full the other way. But he's kicked it basically back into the centre corridor where Collingwood were absolutely lining up, and Dan Houston, he just loves these from outside 50 where he hits them as well as anybody in the competition. And you just look at his facial expression there. He knew it was going through as soon as it left his boot.
So the goal with just a second before the three-quarter time siren for Collingwood. pushes their lead back out to 10 points, 5 goals to 2 in that third term. The Pies way, they wrestled back the lead after West Coast held an 8-point lead at halftime. It is now Collingwood leading by 10 points at the final change, 10-6-66. The Eagles 8-8-56. The goal kickers so far tonight for the Pies, it's been a couple to Pat Lipinski and a couple to Brodie Myercheck. Singles to Elliott, Houston, Membry, West, Hoskin Elliott and Nick Dacos. And then for the West Coast Eagles, it's 2 to Tyler Brockman, and then singles to Ryan, Kelly, Hoff, Flynn, Jack Williams and Shanahan on debut. So Collingwood ahead by 10.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Matt from Clifton Springs. So Howe was in a marking contest and stood up, and it's 50 metres against him. Ridiculous. Excuse me. I think we realised it was against Charlie Dean, who came into the protected area, but Jeremy Howe was the most animated in his frustration. And also on the SMS, great to hear an AFL game on free-to-air radio. No free-to-air on TV in South Australia on Channel 7. However, there's a lot of excitement any time Collingwood get near the ball. Well, I guess given it's a Collingwood home game and there's probably 40,000 in the house, there is more of a Collingwood response than as you'd expect when the game is being played in Perth. Collingwood by 10 points. They lead for the first time at an interval so far tonight after West Coast led by 9 points at quarter time, by 8 points at half-time. The Pies with 5 goals to 2 in that third quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Health hacks, quacks, diet traps, scam apps. On the ABC Listen app, find healthier health podcasts like
All in the Mind,
The Health Report, and
What's That Rash?
Your Weekly Dose of Health on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Vic stays there, plays on quickly, hand pass to Sullivan, who just drills the footy towards Lipinski, who had to wait, top of the goal square, can still manage to put this one through.
Spotted Sullivan, hand pass away to Long, links up with Nick Dacos, inside 50, Dacos magic! As Collingwood charge forward and return to the lead, courtesy of their superstar Nick Dacos.
Tim Membry had a couple of goals last week in the win against his former side, St Kilda. He lines up now, 45-degree angle. It's a straight kick off the boot that never looked like missing. And in the end, it's Houston that picks it up and hand passes it to Pendlebury. Inside 50 he goes, no mark taken. Hoskin Elliott at the drop, puts it through from point-blank range. And the free kick marches Flynn to about 30 metres out from goal. He eases this one towards the sticks and he slots it through.
Barrick charging forward, on the bounce he gathers, hand pass over the top, options are plenty, hand pass to Hoff, cuts onto his left, back-to-back goals for the Eagles. Jack Williams with a bailout kick, straight into the middle of the ground, Houston marks for Collingwood, on the run from 45, bang! The black and white response.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A costly turnover in the dying seconds there from the West Coast Eagles sees Collingwood in front by 10 points heading into the final term in a low-scoring affair. The Magpies 10-6-66 to the Eagles 8-8-56. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. The thoughts of our experts, Adam Romanascus and Luke Ball.
Well, Bally, I think Collingwood really did their work through centre bounce that quarter, 5-1 out of centre, and they got 3 goals really from those centre breaks. So what I also like, Collingwood started kicking the ball that quarter, so they went at 81% by foot, which is well above AFL average. AFL average for kicking efficiency is about 67%. So when they use their feet, Collingwood, when they get on the spread is when they're playing their very best football. Full toll there for West Coast really in not keeping that pressure that they were applying in that first half. 17 inside 50s to 10 that quarter for Collingwood. 5 goals, 1 for Collingwood. So it's sort of like, okay, we've got to put our foot down a little bit here. Let's try to put a bit of a break in this game. Disappointing for West Coast, that last goal where Williams just comes back into the centre corridor with really a kick looking for nobody. It was just to try get it out there, a high ball. So, the margin could have only been 4 points going into this final term. This is the best development that these West Coast players will get now. 10-point margin playing against the top of the table, Collingwood. It's now okay. Like, there's some real pressure in the game. They haven't had a lot of these games this year where, coming into the last quarter, the game's been alive still. So this is where I think Andrew McQualter will find out a lot about his younger players and if they can stand up to the heat, which I think you want as a coach.
Yeah, I've been so impressed with them, even that quarter, where again at times Collingwood had momentum and threatened to bust the game open a little bit. They've just found a way to keep working and fight and scrap and get a hand in, get pressure in, and then when they've been able to get the ball, or turn the ball over or clean the ball up in the back 50, their ability to transition the footy. I mean, you spoke about brand and identity before the game. Well, I think what we're seeing a little bit is how they want to play. They want to really transition the ball with speed from back to front, and they've been able to do that against a team who, okay, they're off tonight, but we know that this Collingwood team are the best at stopping that. So that's a huge win. So can they maintain it? As you said, do they have enough left in the tank to be able to maintain it? We tick off 3 quarters with a quarter to go. We know Collingwood are a fast-finishing team and will run out the game pretty well. That's the test. That's the test that's going to come for this younger Eagles team. Can they maintain that belief in what they're doing to be able to be close 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in the quarter? And you never know.
Olaf Markov and Jaden Hunt, the subs, still yet to be used for either side. As we start the final term, Collingwood by 10 points. Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Hoff's onto it. He's tackled immediately and the umpire will ball it up. Dacos laying the tackle. Dacos with 25 disposals. Baker with 28. Pendlebury with 22. Hoff with 22 as well. Cameron drops it down, looking for Scott Pendlebury. Chopped off though by Harley Reid. Gets the hand pass away as the kick from Allen inside 50. And a free kick going the way of the West Coast Eagles against Darcy Moore. And Jack Williams will have the shot on goal.
Well, when the umpire was right there, had a good view. Perhaps it was on the blind side for us, but it looked like a pretty reasonable marking contest to me. But I like it. Big body, play in front. And he's a big boy, this Jack Williams, 200 centimetres.
We made the mistake. Bawley obviously just right on 3/4 time there. So now you love this, that he gets the first opportunity, the 4th quarter, to make up for it.
Darcy Moore with that left arm around the waist of Jack Williams, which the umpire spotted immediately. Looking to redeem himself with his 2nd of the night. He comes in and misses to the left-hand side. Jack Williams can't take the moment after conceding a goal late in the 3rd quarter, and Dan Houston made him pay. Collingwood lead by 9 points, just a minute gone, final term.
The first goal of the night as well, Jack Williams. Is how brings in the footy by chipping it to Nick Dacos. Reid doesn't stand the mark, and that's an easy 50-metre penalty that's been given away to Nick Dacos.
Well, he ran over the mark, Loz. And not just not stand it. He ran 4 or 5 steps over the mark. It was clear as day.
So Nick Dacos now is just forward of centre half back and puts plenty on his kick. He'll get it right to the top of the 50. It's punched away though by Duggan. Can't be taken by Hall. The hand pass comes away. And it's Hutchinson on the bottom of the pack who's slowly rising. The umpire will come to throw the ball up. Just 52 metres out from goal as Ed Allen goes in after it. Nick Dacos is there as well, trying to gather it on his hands and knees. Pulls it in. Reid jumps on top of him. And it'll be another ball up. About 60 metres out from Collingwood's goal. They're leading now by 9 points after getting out to a game high 16 points. This final term, it's Hall chasing after it, can't gather it cleanly. It allows an in for Long to come in and grab the footy. He's tackled by 3 Eagles players, can just get the footy away. Duggan takes it, he's pulled in a tackle by Lipinski, and that one is called holding the footy. So that's a free kick to Patrick Lipinski against Duggan.
Gee whiz.
There's a couple of goals already tonight, Pat Lipinski. As he looks into the pocket, Dan McStay's on a long lead, and he's going to take the mark in front of Edwards.
Great hands.
He loomed as a dangerous target. He's going to try and give it off to Darcy Cameron, getting back. Flynn got a handball to it, spills out the way of West, gets it to Sullivan, spinning through traffic, dribbles along the ground, and Collingwood have the first of the final term. On the move was Lockie Sullivan, and he makes it count. Collingwood lead by 15 points. Jack Williams couldn't kick the goal from the set shot at the other end. And Sullivan with the ground ball finish in the right forward pocket for Collingwood, a 15-point lead. 11-6-72 to the Eagles, 8-9-57 Just 3 minutes gone, final term on ABC Sport.
Yeah, it's just moments, isn't it? Taking your moments there, you're right. Jack Williams earned the free kick. Just got to go back and kick that. And then the mistake from Harley Reid, which just relieved the pressure a little bit.
That was holding
defense.
the ball against Liam Duggan.
Yeah, that was a
bad one.
That wasn't prior opportunity. Had a lot of those tackles tonight. Should have been a ball up. Good hand from Dan McStay. And just tried to pinpoint. I had my eye on Jamie Elliott, who looks sore here. He might have caught one in the leg. And Sullivan, who's been a good contributor tonight, it must be said. He's had how many score involvements for Lockie Sullivan? I'll get that, but it felt like at times he's been in every scoring chain that Collingwood have had.
There's the Collingwood chant around Docklands. The umpire restarts play. Reid walks around his opponent, grabs the footy and hand passes it away to Hoff, who moves the footy down to Hull, who'll kick it right to the top of the goal square. It won't be a mark. There'll still be a chance here, though, as Hewitt takes the footy, but he's pulled down in the pack. And it'll be a ball up about a metre out from goals for West Coast. Desperate to stay in touch.
Even the Collingwood chant about half-rat power.
So it's tossed up. Cameron tries to tap it behind him. It's Jack Williams with the footy again. He's taken in a tackle by 6 Collingwood players who hold on to him. And it'll be a ball up top of the goal square for the Eagles. Umpire puts it up and Ed Allen can take it. And he's wrapped up as well. So a lot of pressure now on these West Coast forwards. So they look to try and gain one back on the Pies and stay in touch with this game. It's tossed up and Cameron in the end takes it unopposed to Flynn, who fell down. Ed Allen holds it, hand pass to Josh Dacos, and he puts it on his boot. It doesn't go as far as he would have liked. It bounces in some space over the top of Hewitt. Darcy Cameron's kick is smothered. And there'll be another stoppage inside forward 50 for the Eagles as Hoff is wrapped up. So they're locking it in the forward 50, the Eagles, but just unable to score so far, trailing by 15 final term.
Thrown up, Flynn wins down the tap, on the move though. Long with a clearing kick for Collingwood, across half back. Baker should be able to run onto it. Can he find an avenue inside 50? Chips it over the top. Good composure and finds Liam Ryan.
Well, smart by Liam Ryan, because initially he was going to shepherd to give Liam Baker a little bit more space, but realised Baker had got to the ball already, then just peeled off his direct opponent in Dan Houston to get inside 50 with a short little kick.
Kicked his 150th career goal in the second quarter with his only goal of the night so far. This will take his best. Out to the right, will kick from right on 50. Liam Ryan, high ball, it'll land short at the top of the goal square. Jeremy Howe and Moore in the pack. Rush it through for Collingwood for a minor score. The Magpies lead is 14 points. 6 minutes gone. Final term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Josh Dacos holding on to the footy and just directing his players as well as he stands in the defensive goal square to move their way onto the dock side of the stadium, and that's exactly where he kicks it down the wing. Cameron was at the back, put 2 hands up, but it was well done by Edwards, who stood his ground, and he holds on to the mark for the Eagles. A little concussion concern earlier on in the game, but came back on the field, intercepts the footy and puts it back inside 50 for the Eagles. Falls into a pack, and it's Howe who takes the footy. He's taken down to the turf, and the umpire will cross his arms, and it'll be a ball up, this time 20 metres out from goal for the Eagles. They're trailing by 14 points. They've locked the footy inside their forward 50 for the last couple of minutes, desperately trying to score. As Flynn and Cameron tangle, comes out the back. There will be a tackle from Graham holding onto the footy now. So he locks up his Collingwood opponent, or moves up from the bottom of the pack, and it's Pendlebury. There'll be another ball up 40 metres out from West Coast goal.
Thrown up, Cameron and Flynn. Flynn sharks it down. Nick Dacos roves it. Hand pass to Darcy Moore to Pendlebury. Around the body, West had to compete in front against Edwards. Edwards gathers, gets the hand pass away to McCarthy. Hand pass to the West Coast Eagles, to Brock, who reloads inside 50. Flynn back with a flight, spoiled away by Darcy Moore. Running onto a Josh Dacos. Ryan the other direction, hasn't rushed it through. Josh Dacos' hand pass away to Dean. Hand pass to the back pocket to Perryman. Finds an avenue out of defence with a kick to Jack Crisp, who has it left half back.
He just chips down the field to Jamie Elliott. Both subs still unused so far. Oleg Markov for Collingwood. West Coast have Jaden Hunt. And both sitting on the bench for their respective sides as Elliott kicks down the wing. And it's Crisp that marks. He's close to the boundary line, right at centre wing. City side of the ground. Collingwood with the only goal of the fourth term so far, but they're holding on to a 14-point lead as crisp kick comes to a packet. It's Bailey Williams who swings in, intercepts the footy, hand passes to McCarthy, who takes a bounce and just wants to go for a run. In his second game, his kick is a turnover. It hits Jeremy Howe on the chest for the Pies.
He turns into the middle of the ground and spots up Dan Houston. Stepped off his line, so call to play on. Chips it in the middle of the ground. Perryman takes the mark.
That should be 50.
Probably should. Liam Ryan was on the move. Advances it by foot to Pendlebury. Chips it over the top to Jamie Elliott. Just the one goal so far for him tonight. Elliott looks inside a congested 50. Membry's on the move, close to the boundary line. Kicks lace out. There's not a lot Brock could do there. Caught behind, and Membry at full speed takes the mark hard against the boundary, 45 metres out from goal.
Every time he's had the opportunity tonight to mark it, Membry, he's marked it. So his hands have been terrific.
Do you think he'd play this many games? He's up to 14 games so far for the season.
I thought he'd definitely have an impact at Collingwood. So I think they like the mix of him and Membry and McStay. They want those three to play as much as they possibly can. Mychek, sorry, is the other one, together.
Yeah. He opens up the angle. Tim Membry, who strikes it from the left forward pocket. Trying to prove there's a spot for him in this best Collingwood side. His second goal of the match, and Collingwood's second of this final term, as they extend it out to a 20-point lead. Collingwood's biggest lead of the match, a game-high margin so far. 12-6-78 to the Eagles, 8-10-58. Collingwood with the last three goals of the match. Luke Ball and Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport.
Yeah, that's what he can do, can't he? I mean, he hasn't had a heap of the footy tonight. He's had to work pretty hard, largely because of the Eagles' ability just to create this sort of stop-start attack from Collingwood. Hasn't been as fluent as they usually have been, and they've been able to force them wide too. And even then, I mean, he's almost marked that right on the junction, hasn't he?
He's had 5 possessions and kicked 2 goals.
Yep.
So, look, impact, no doubt, on scoreboard. But like I was saying, it's McStay, Membry, Mychek that Craig McRae wants this forward line to look in terms of those taller players.
Dacos and Hall with a little bit of a push and shove inside the centre of the ground. It's Pendlebury with the clearance though. Hand pass to McStay. Puts a kick directly inside 50. Bounces off the chest of Brock, which allows Collingwood it in via Sullivan. Hand passes the footy. Hall's there to take it. Can hand pass it across to Hoff, who runs his way outside of defensive 50 and just curls the ball across to Brockman, who marks right in front of the benches and right in front of Alexia Pesce.
It looks like West Coast are going to make their sub. I'm not sure who for yet, but Jaden Hunt will come into the action.
Thanks, Lex. Brockman's kick goes down towards Hutchinson, and then they all battle for the footy, and in the end, it's just a scrum over the line for a ball up just to the left of the West Coast bench as we head down to Lex Pesce again.
It is for Jamie Cripps. I reckon that's the first time that's ever happened to him.
So Jamie Cripps subbed out. Looks like Charlie West is going to be subbed out for Collingwood. He's from the restart. Pendlebury's hand pass. So Jack Crisp, the running man for Collingwood, who kicks up towards Membry at half forward. Brock makes the spoil. Membry lost his footing. Brock first back onto it. Membry tackles him over the boundary line. And the umpire says throw it in. Passionate Collingwood fans leaning over the fence. There's a small section of West Coast Eagles fans down the far end, the Lockett end here.
Competes hard, Brock. I've liked his game. He's very heavily left-sided though, isn't he? He wasn't going at all to roll on that right foot there.
Thrown in, McStay wins down the tap against Flynn. Into the path of Josh Dacos. He kicks into the pocket. Elliott wrestling with Jimby. Good flying effort in the end by Edwards, and he's been paid the mark. Lex Pesce on the boundary.
You are correct, Clinchy. It's Oleg Markov who's into the action for Charlie West.
Harry Edwards back to the last line. Tom McCarthy in his second game. Quick 1-2 with Duggan as he runs the Eagles out of defence. Kicks up to the wing. Flynn flies in front. From behind Shanahan. As the pack is absolutely crashed, and Jeremy Howe's a bit worse for wear, as is McStay as well. Flynn got his body in there. The Eagles work it forward to Brockman. Centering ball for Kelly. Hangs onto the mark. Just inside 50, directly in front. And in his new role across half forward, this is a must kick for the experienced Eagle.
Oh, that was carnage. That contest in front of us there. Howe flew for the ball. Took out his teammate McStay, but another good sign by Joe Shanahan to take that mark.
Strong hands. They've been strong in the air, the Eagles, with their height. Edwards behind the ball, Brock at times. Shanahan that time.
2 goals, 6 of the season for Tim Kelly. As he was looking for every millimetre, it's offline. He shanks it to the pocket. Jeez, points. Liam Ryan had a lot of it, just couldn't hang on. And it goes out of play up against the left behind post. I think he says to the umpire, not enough to be paid a mark.
Yeah, you got lucky there, Charlie
throw it
Dean.
in.
Got really lucky. Charlie Dean was asleep, and he almost could have been paid that. In the end, his teammate spoiled him, Liam Ryan.
So ball tossed in inside forward 50 for the Eagles. What can they show in these final minutes of the fourth quarter? Still a little bit of time left as they trail by 20 points, but they've brought the fight to Collingwood tonight. That's Hewitt that's wrapped up directly in front of goal for a ball up. 15 metres out from the Eagles' goal. Cameron gets two hands to it, puts it in front of Nick Dacos, who has to go chasing after. It's Josh, who cleverly just gets a kick to it towards Lipinski. His kick, though, is spoiled by Duggan, and it's over the boundary, and it stops it from going further off that kick, and it'll be a throw-in right on the junction of the 50 and the boundary line. So again, the Eagles doing everything just to lock it inside their forward 50 of the ground. But they need to get a few majors on the board as well if they want to claim an upset victory, as Hoff tries to gather in the footy. In the end, it's Graham that takes it, hand passes it away. Crisp has a go at it and gets a slight kick towards forward, but it's Duggan that takes it. He's taken over the boundary line, and then it'll be a throw-in just to the left of the West Coast Eagles benches, where Harley Reid's about to run back on. Collingwood ahead by 20 points, 15 minutes played in the final term.
Collingwood with 2 goals to none so far in this final term. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Adam Romanascus, Luke Ball, your experts. Lex Pesce on the boundary. Trying to get it out was Clay Hall. He had a second go at it, and in the end, umpire let it go for a little longer as Harley Reid wrestles Ned Long to the turf. Collingwood 12-6-78. The Eagles 8-10-58. The Eagles led at quarter time and half time. Collingwood wrestled back the lead at 3/4 time. Sliding in once more. It's Jack Graham. He can't extract the footy, and the umpire will ball it up as he and Ned Long tangle for it. Tim Kelly, that shot on goal. Rammer, he hasn't quite had the career the Eagles fans hoped he would have. Transitioning from Geelong. Off hands. Jack Crisp kicks up towards half forward. Hoskin Elliott just worked
found one
underneath
here.
it.
Oh, he's a beauty, mate. Yeah, he is.
Tom McCarthy marks.
He just looks like a 100-game player already, doesn't he? Backs himself too, run and dash.
24 possessions tonight.
As he flares the ball out wide, and it will be a mark
25, sorry, that was.
to Marrick at centre wing. He just chips it towards Brock. He's got the footy slightly defensive half of the ground. Jimby was coming at him short, but Brock wants to go longer and puts this one inside 50. Cameron at the front for Collingwood. The ruck holds on to the mark. And it's an important grab he takes as the kick was coming in for the Eagles.
It's a great part of his game, isn't it, Darcy Cameron? The ability to
really
all the star ruckmen do it. How do you think about Max Gawn getting around the ground? Oh,
So chip kick to side bottom is chipped out to Nick Dacos, who holds onto the mark, and him and Harley Reid tangle again.
oh, he's lucky there, Harley. Wasn't really a legitimate attempt to contest that. Almost a little bit of a tunnel. Nick gets up with a smile.
And he heaves the kick down the outer wing of the ground. Elliott gets into some space at the back of the pack, takes a bounce. He's got a chase coming, can just get the footy away before he's tackled. Inside 50 he goes. Myercheck brings it to ground. Lipinski takes it, hand passes it across to Ed Allen, flying shot at goal, and misses to the right-hand side. A behind for the Pies that does push out their lead to a game high 21 points, 16 minutes played in this final term. 12-7 plays 8-10.
It's been an odd night for Collingwood.
Yep.
Graham McRae will be happy to take the 4 points and move on. They have Carlton at the MCG on Friday night. Liam Duggan with a long clearing kick out of defence. Jeremy Howe rises in the pack, spoils it down, follows up with he and Quainer locking the footy in underneath those two, and Elijah Hewitt on the very bottom of the pack will ball it up. Collingwood by 21 points. Cameron up against Bailey Williams. Darcy Cameron wins it down. Jack Graham on the move. Can't get a disposal away. He tangles on the wing. Jack Crisp slowly rises. Collingwood by 21 points. Cameron gets it down to Crisp. Hand pass in more to Houston. Almost ran into Ned Long. Bangs it inside 50. Jack Williams going back with the flight. Harry Edwards, I should say.
Yep.
Back with a flight and takes a very good mark for the West Coast Eagles. Around the back to Tom McCarthy. Another disposal as he gets it out to Liam Baker.
Baker moves the ball on quickly by chipping it across to Hall, mark right half back. And he just stops and waits with the footy.
Yeah, well, time to take a risk now.
The Eagles haven't kicked a goal this quarter so far. He kicks almost to a 3-on-1. Baker didn't have the numbers. It was the Pies with all the jumpers. Side bottom, hand pass across to Sullivan, hand pass across to Nick Dacos. He'll take a shot at the sticks and he'll miss to the right-hand side as well. So another behind for the Pies. The lead pushes out to 22 points, 18 minutes played in the fourth term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
You know, if even Nick Dacos is missing those shots on goal, it's been a bit of an off night for Collingwood. Jimby's kick up towards the wing. Jack Williams. A hand pass away to Jaden Hunt, but he turned it straight over the sub to Houston of Collingwood. Works it forward to Nick Dacos. Hooks up inside 50. McStay on the lead. Spoiled away. Run up by Brock. Gets it down to Baker. Hand pass to Graham. Through the middle of the ground for the West Coast Eagles. Hand pass away as they chip it forward to Elijah Hewitt. To Graham, who kept running. Trying to get into the pocket. Quainer takes the mark. Peeling off beautifully. Taking the mark in front of Shanahan. And clears for Collingwood out to side bottom and half back.
Side bottom with the footy, just kicks it out to Mychek, who's standing all alone at centre wing. He can hand pass the footy across to the run of Oleg Markov, who's come on as the sub. 55 metres out from goal, kicks towards Lipinski, just slips through his fingertips. He was in prime position. The ball will spill out to Sullivan, who keeps it in. Tried to hand pass towards Lipinski, worked off it by McCarthy, who did well again for the Eagles. Just his second game in that defensive unit. Hand pass to Jimby, hand pass to Reid, who's caught. And it will be a ball up, but a couple of Pies dive on Reid. And it's Crisp and Long who hold him where he is. And a ball up will come inside forward 50 for the Pies. They've got a 22-point lead, just hitting time on in the final term.
McStay tries to take it to the ruck, clearing kick. Chopped off in the end. Mark is taken by Hall, who switches out to right half back, and Liam Baker takes the mark. Now pass to Duggan, right half back for the Eagles. Turns and comes inboard. Mark is taken once more by Clay Hall.
Yeah, they're going to go now, West Coast.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much juice left in the legs, Rammer. That's the only problem.
They're going to go.
Yeah, well,
if they go down by 6 or 7 goals, so be it. But let's attack this final 6 minutes.
Where's Jaden Hunt? I mean, he's the line. He's got the fresh legs. McCarthy's shown an appetite to run, but yeah, the rest of them look a bit out on their feet.
That's all the familiar names for the Eagles as the kick from Baker was a turnover, and now a 50-metre penalty going the way of Will Hoskin-Elliott. This is against Tyler Brockman. He doesn't take the full meterage because he has Ned Long on in the pocket and finds him in the left forward pocket 45 metres out from goal. Lex Pescier on the boundary.
Just adding to that, you can see the difference in the fitness of these two sides. When the Pies come off, they're not as gassed. When West Coast Eagles come off, they are absolutely gassed.
Eagles have 12 players who have played under 50 games. Magpies have just 4. And now Ned Long looking to join the list of growing goal kickers. Collingwood chasing a third goal in this final term to extend the margin once more. Ned Long comes in and his shot is left all the way. The minus score. A 23-point lead Collingwood's way. Crowd posted at 38,126 fans for a Saturday night under the roof of Docklands.
Duggan bringing the footy back in for West Coast, kicks it out. It's Quaynor that nearly tries to grab the mark in a 2-on-1, but Marrick gets the footy, not pay the mark, and still hand pass it to Jimby and then work it back with a 1-2 as he kicks down towards Graham, who marks just as he's sliding down to the ground and Moore putting plenty of pressure on him. But he holds on to the mark. And he's got it at left half back. And wants to dart the kick right into the centre of the ground. It's a good kick in the end. It's a good mark that's taken by Hoff as well. And Brady Hoff with the footy, just holding on to it as his Eagles teammates make their way into the forward 50. Nice kick inside 50. It'll be an Eagles mark to Flynn.
Right, come on, get some intensity about you, Ruckman. Let's just scroll back. Well, let's hurry up.
Took the two-handed mark in front of him and then strolls back to his mark to get set for the set shot. It'll be from directly in front of goals, about 40 metres out. And Matt Flynn, just to keep the Eagles in the match, just to keep things a little interesting. We've stayed in it all night, and Matt Flynn now skips in, lets loose the kick, and it was a little laconic in his approach and a laconic in the kick as well, and that's just the minus score. So 22 points. Collingwood's lead is 22 minutes played in the final term.
Just 3 behinds for the West Coast Eagles in this final term. Collingwood have put it 2 goals, 3. It's Jeremy Howe straight down the middle to Josh Dacos. Finds his brother Nick. It's incredible how canny they are at finding each other. Into the middle of the ground, Nick Dacos to Scott Pendlebury. Collingwood by 22 points. Pendlebury looks at options, decides to veer out to the left, tries to sidestep around Shanahan on debut. Does so successfully. Drives Collingwood inside 50. McStay can't get a run at it. And Duggan takes the mark for the West Coast Eagles. Hand pass to Marrick in the back pocket. Kicks out to Hutchinson, who at full stretch takes the mark in front of Quainer. And left half back for the Eagles.
Hutchinson, little chip kick, finds Elijah Hewitt. He swivels around and puts it on his right boot to get it all the way to left half forward. Up comes Bailey Williams to rise and take the mark. Hand passes it across to McCarthy, who's made his way to left half forward. Just dabs the kick inside 50 and it goes straight to Darcy Moore of the Pies. Moore intercepts the footy in the right back pocket. Pies looking for their 7th win on the trot. They haven't lost since round 8 when they went down by 3 points to Geelong. And although things look dicey for a little bit tonight, they should hold on to this one as the kick comes out to a pack and it's punched out of bounds.
They just don't have the confidence to attack the game, West Coast. You know, wins have been so hard to come by over the last couple of years. So being in this situation, it takes confidence. It takes repetition to be in this position. They just look like they don't really know what they're doing.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Clay Hall gets it forward to Hoff. Long ball towards full forward. Show of strength between Jack Williams and Darcy Moore in the end. It's Collingwood at clear. Side bottoms kick miss. Ed Allen though, and the intercepting mark is taken by Flynn. And left half back. Hang on.
It's touched off the boot.
Right. So a throw in.
Fortunately for Matty Flynn. Took the mark and his momentum took him over the boundary line. The umpire was right onto it.
22 points, Collingwood's lead. They've had to work hard to see off the young West Coast Eagles. As Cameron tries to take it out of the ruck against Flynn. Hand pass to Perryman. Hand pass to Josh Dacos across half back. They may not be done with yet. Kicks out to Hoskin Elliott on the city wing. Needs a kind bounce. He gathers. Right. Looks up. Nick Dacos is streaming forward. Why wouldn't you kick it to him? At left half forward. He cuts back inboard. Pass 1. Pass 2. From 50. It's touched off the boot. Ricochets out towards Jinby. Races back with the flight. Looks it out to the advantage of McCarthy. Brock's kick is partially smothered. Ball still alive for Collingwood. Graham can't take it. Lipinski gathers. Chips it back. Ned Long down low. It bounces off his chest. You couldn't make this up. Hoskin to Nick Dacos. It all ends up okay in the end. No. It's the padding on the post. Just as he was about to break into celebration.
Not tonight. It has to hit the post.
Collingwood by 23 points. I think everyone's going to be relieved when the full-time siren sounds.
Yeah, I think that 30-second passage just summed up the whole game. As the kick comes out from the West Coast defence, Hutchinson desperately chasing after it. He goes after it and keeps going until he can push it towards Hall. He can move it a little bit across towards Marrick. And players are just on their hands and knees down, desperately trying to grab it. Bo Allen tucks it under his shoulder. And the umpire blows his whistle. And he'll come and ball it up 52 metres out from Collingwood's goal. So it's the Pies with a couple of goals in this last term. 23 points now, the margin. It's punched inside 50 for the Pies. Jimby picks it up, though, and shoves it on his boot to get some clearance, but Houston stands back and will mark on the AFL logo, centre wing. So he's looking to maybe get another goal for the Pies late in this match as he chips it across to Darcy Moore, and it's the captain who holds onto the footy at centre half back and can flare it across to Markov, who came in as the late change for Bobby Hill.
He was dubbed the energy whip when last he played. Bringing that spirit to Craig McRae's side. He was at Bunnings when he got that phone call to come into the lineup. He wasn't one of the emergencies. So kicks out to Nick Dacos at left half forward. Drives him inside 50 once more. Myercheck in front. Can't take the mark. Sullivan's hand pass out towards Pendlebury. Through traffic. The class of Scott Pendlebury as he puts through his first of the night. And the Magpies finish with a flourish. 3 goals to none so far in this final term. And Scott Pendlebury is able to put through his first goal of the night and his third of the season. Collingwood 13-10-88. The Eagles 8-11-59. The last 3 goals of the match the way of the Magpies.
Yeah, and he's had a strong game, Pendles, tonight. I think he's been the class. Really, he's up to 28 possessions. He's had 8 score involvement, 10 inside 50s, 9 clearances. So he's had a real all-round game. Pendlebury, where some of his other mids have probably been just a little bit off their tucker tonight in terms of the impact that they've had, but he certainly has it, and it's a rewarding finish for him to kick this goal late in the game.
Margin is pushed out to 29 points, very late stages in the fourth term. It's Bailey Williams, two hands, pushes it out towards Josh Dacos, who hand passes it away. Picked up by Hoff, who's had a good game for the West Coast Eagles. Hand passes it to Baker, who flares it out wide as the siren sounds. And Collingwood holds on to an expected win, although it was so much more difficult than anticipated. They beat West Coast by 29 points.
Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
A messy game we're not used to seeing from the competition leaders. It was the Eagles who ran out to a 9-point lead at quarter time. It was an 8-point lead, still West Coast way at half time, and then it was Collingwood that fought back with 5 goals to 2 in the third term to push the margin out to 10 points before it was a final margin of 29 points going the way of the ladder leaders. They came in with a 6-point lead at the top of the premiership table. They'll leave now 10 points clear on top of the AFL ladder.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
So in front of 38,126 fans that made their way out to Docklands on this Saturday night for a Collingwood home game. It's Collingwood who win by 29 points. It was the highest margin of the game, is what it was once the final time siren was blown. 13-10-88, West Coast 8-11-59. The goal kickers for tonight, it was Brodie Myercheck in his 150th game with 2. Tim Membry also had a couple. Pat Lipinski with 2 as well. And there were singles to Jamie Elliott, Dan Houston, Scott Pendlebury, Charlie West, Will Hoskin-Elliott, Lockie Sullivan, Nick Dacos as well. Well, for the West Coast Eagles, they fought hard. They made a little bit of a scrap, but just unable to get the job done and run out the match as Tyler Brockman kicked 2 for his side. And then there were singles to Liam Ryan, Tim Kelly, Brady Hoff, Matt Flynn, Jack Williams, and Job Shanahan in his debut as well was able to score 1. But Collingwood win by 29 points. It's their 7th win in a row, and as mentioned, they're now clear up on top of the table by 10 points. So they've had a commanding season so far. It's showing on the scoreboard as well, and the ladder leaders end up beating the Salad Dwellers by 29 points.
Luke Ball and Adam Ramanaskas with their assessments.
Well,
sometimes
look,
you just got to get the points forever, don't you?
Yeah,
Look, and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it wasn't their best game. It certainly wasn't Collingwood's best game. And in the end, it was workmanlike. It was, what was it? It was 8 goals to 2 in that second half. So, you know, when the whips were cracking, when they were challenged, Collingwood, they were just able to find an answer. You know, they kicked the first 4 goals of that second quarter. West Coast bounced back. Then they kicked Collingwood kicked the first 4 goals of the third quarter, and really West Coast from there, they were sort of playing catch up. And this would be a great lesson for West Coast, I think. So, you know, in a game and learning how to go and win it from the position they were in, they got to within 4 points within that third quarter at the 27-minute mark. So the game was there. You know, Jack Williams then misses a set shot to start that last quarter. That was a moment. Like that's a confidence thing. Really, there he goes back and kicks that, and the enthusiasm you would have seen around that forward half of the ground, him kicking the goal, and just the encouragement. Then it filters to all parts of the ground. So, look, great learning for West Coast. Collingwood, well, they've played their couple of games here at the Docklands. Now they get back to the MCG and really go from there. So, you know, you look, and we Paulie and I spoke about, well, the depth before the game and what's there and who can potentially, you know, hold their spot. Usual suspects tonight. Both Dacos, Pendlebury, Crisp was good. You know, Ned Long has cemented his spot in this team now. No doubt about it. Then you look down the page. Ed Allen was okay. out on that wing. He had the 16 possessions. I thought Lockie Sullivan's game was good as a forward. He played as a permanent forward all night, had the 13 possessions and a goal, 6 score involvements. But then after that, you sort of like Charlie Dean and West really didn't. They're sort of at the bottom of the stat sheet and really didn't have an impact. I think that they would have been hoping for. But look, workmanlike, I think, is the best way to describe it for Collingwood today. They walk away with 4 points. They walk away with now that clear margin at the top of the ladder, I think, which really would have been most important, because now they can, with what is it, clinching a 2.5 game lead now, I think, at the top of the ladder, they can really work this final 8 weeks of the season and go, okay, who do we need to get right? Who do we need to give a rest to? Who do we need to get some more work into? And really go from there. So it's a top 4 finish you want.
Yeah.
A top 2 finish is even better, though.
Yeah, it was clearance tonight in the end, wasn't it? After quarter time, where they were, well dominant. Yeah, and that's where they got their ascendancy. And in the end, that field position allowed them to score. It wasn't the dynamic end-to-end, scintillating footy that we're used to seeing from the Pies. And a lot of credit's got to go to the Eagles for that. I thought they fought and scrapped and chased and tackled and harassed. I thought they were pretty strong aerially too, behind the ball. I thought, between Edwards and young McCarthy, I love what he's not that young, is he? But young in terms of AFL experience. I love what I see. You started to see a bit of an identity, which you spoke about, Rama, pretty strongly before the game. In terms of winning the ball back and slingshotting and transitioning with speed from one end to the other. And we're not used to seeing teams do that against this Collingwood team. So that's, how much of that is Collingwood just being a little bit off, that half a step off, which allows that overlap and that, the ability to be able to bypass defenders, and how much of that is, West Coast pretty sharp sort of ball movement. Be really interested to hear from Craig McRae how closely they review this game, or do they just sort of bank it, as we say, and move on to next week, but they do get back to the MCG. So, you're right, a couple of opportunities, potentially not take it today. I thought, across the board, there were some solid performances. Young West gets a taste of it, doesn't he? He'll be better for that. I thought, it really stood out the lack of drop of the ball pressure for Collingwood today. So clearly Hill, McCreery, the two that lead that. Elliott was a little bit off today, didn't have a great day. Sullivan had his moments, as he said. He's not that sort of player. And then, West in his first game. So, that was exposed a little bit today. And in the end, it was really the Eagles that weren't able to hurt them enough going the other way. But as we said, sometimes you've just got to bank a win and sing the song and hopefully ice up without too many injuries and get on to next week.
So 2.5 games clear on top of the AFL ladder, Collingwood, with a bye for the Brisbane Lions and Geelong. So Collingwood moved to 13 wins and 2 losses. And they have a gap on the competition, but how dominant are they? How good is their best as they see off the West Coast Eagles by 29 points? As the Pies make their way into their change rooms, we can join them with Lex Pesher.
You know how I feel about the Pies song, guys. It gets real awkward. Brody Marchek's come in with his tiny little baby, and there's some very, very happy faces around here. So this one will be definitely worth the sing. Here it comes. Oh, debutant in the middle. Here we go.
Side by side we stick together. So hold the magpies, they hold my feet. See the backers shouting as old barricades should. Oh, the membership's a cave. One for the good old Collingwood.
Did you catch the little baby? The little baby didn't like that so much.
And in many ways, it felt like a bit of a summary of Collingwood's night. They were a little off tune, but they still got there in the end. The Magpies, 29-point winners, 13-10-88 to the Eagles, 8-11-59. Lex Pesher will bring us some reaction from the Collingwood rooms. Nick Dacos finished with 34 disposals, brother Josh with 30, Scott Pendlebury with 28, while Liam Baker had 35 for the West Coast Eagles, Tom McCarthy with 29, and Brady Hoff with 27. The Scott Pendlebury goal celebration, is he too old to be carrying on with goal celebrations for his kids? Was it I think it was a samurai sword sort of celebration? We heard he had the piano for his young daughter and the previous one was some sort of shout out to his son, but I mean, he still plays such a pivotal part for Collingwood in a game where it lacked a little bit of composure at times. He was able to finish with a touch of class.
Yeah, I thought he was in the second half in particular. I thought they all coughed the ball up a little bit earlier, a little bit flipping with the footy. We spoke about trying to create things that weren't necessarily there, and they all, I thought, were guilty of that first half. But I thought his touches in that second half, and particularly where they probably just put a little bit of a space late in that third quarter. He was decisive. He was great around clearance. I think he had 8 or 9 tackles as well. We'll get that
6.
for you, but 10 inside 50. So I thought he was the one who said, "Okay, we've got to stop. We've got to stop. Mucking around was the word I'm looking for with over handball. We got to get it in long and deep and create some scoring opportunities, which he was able to do. And yeah, he's a marvel, isn't he? I mean, he just keeps doing it. Late into his 30s now, and well over 400 games. It's unbelievable.
So is it a concern how much of a wrestle it was tonight to get going for Collingwood, or is
not really
that just what happens when you've out in front and you've been playing so well?
Yeah,
Look, I think West Coast were up for it tonight. Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure Andrew McQualter would have said, "Look, we're playing against the ladder leader. Let's go and show what we've got."
Yeah, off a bye, fresh off a bye.
Like I said, Liam Baker's had a terrific game. I thought he really led from the front. It was a great example to those younger players. But McCarthy's had 29, Hoff's had 27. The captain Duggan was good. Clay Hall, who not many of us would know a lot about, he's had 22. I thought the first gamer in Shanahan looked really good. Sandy Brock took some nice marks. Williams could have had a really good day. Kicked 1 goal 3 in the end. So there's enough there for West Coast.
Yep.
It just goes back to the conversation before the game around, well, what type of team do they want to be? Now, if they're a back half turnover team to then move the ball quickly, fine. Let's see it as much as we possibly can within games. But I just thought in that last quarter, it's like the balloon got popped when Williams missed that first goal, and there was no excitement from that moment for West Coast. They didn't take the game on as much as you hoped in that last quarter, and really Collingwood were able to dictate terms. A goal at the 3-minute mark, 10-minute mark, 27-minute mark. So they just they didn't strangle West Coast in the last quarter and make them sort of suffer in any way, but it was almost death by 1,000 cuts in the last quarter.
Collingwood winners by 29 points. It's their 7th consecutive win. So the 2 losses, the Giants in opening round and Geelong. So it is a long time for a side to stay up, and you wonder whether they will have the odd blimp along the way. So Carlton next week at the MCG. The Gold Coast Suns all of a sudden loom as a great challenge, and the Fremantle Dockers in the weeks to come.
So always opposition are going to work on the ladder leader. That's a given. Okay, but what I did notice tonight with West Coast is that they were able to expose Collingwood when they did move the ball quick, when they were prepared to go from half back to inside forward 50. And that's, we've spoken about this a lot. You got tonight you had Josh Dacos, Perryman, Houston, Quaynor, who they like to attack, but they can't beat speed of ball back. No. They just can't do it, and that's where West Coast were able to expose Collingwood a little bit. So I think opposition clubs will look at that.
Yeah, that is the way to beat. I mean, we saw that with St Kilda last week, where they threatened to cause a bit of an upset there at times, and they punished Collingwood as well. And really, if the pressure's not there at the drop of the ball, or if they are overusing it and turning the ball over through the mid part of the ground, that is the way to get them. Absolutely, and we saw that several times with the Eagles tonight, and that's pleasing. That should be reviewed strongly by Andrew McQualter. So this is a really high top 4 team in terms of defending turnovers, and we were able to slice them up from back to forward several times throughout the night. So that's a real positive, and that's something. When you are on top, and you're always, and Craig McRae always talks about getting better every day, doesn't he? You are looking at the things to improve. So sometimes the odd off night, provided you can still get the 4 points, isn't the worst thing, because they can come in Monday and say, righto, boys, as we know, this is AFL footy. We can't just expect us to roll up and think it's going to happen. We've got to pay the price and bring the work and earn our win. So they're under no illusion. They're not a miles better team than the chasing pack. We know that. There seems to be a pretty clear sort of top three, maybe, and then maybe I think the Hawks were impressive today. We know Adelaide are coming, and the Giants at their best, and then Gold Coast as well. So they're under no illusions that they need to keep improving. They'll get some personnel back that will help that. We know that, and they know that they need to bring their best at the right time of the year. But it's a nice position to be in, isn't it?
So the players that come back in, Jordan De Goey with that Achilles, we touched on the lead-in they might be able to give to him. Billy Frampton with that calf. Braden Maynard with the foot injury, as to whether they make sure he's 100% right, maybe get a training block underneath him, even though Craig McRae said he was a possibility to return to this game. Bo McCreary is a hamstring, so 3 to 4 weeks for him, and Lockie Schultz is still 1 to 2 weeks away. So they have some top-end talent that's going to return, but as we saw in there...
They're some critical role players.
Yeah.
Absolute critical. So if Collingwood are going to win it...
Yeah.
They'll want all those players in September.
And that's the case with any team, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't have 8 of your best 18 out and expect to really, really contend at the pointy end. So, but if you've got a nice little buffer, 2.5 game clear lead on top of the ladder, you don't have to rush those players back, which I reckon we're seeing with a lot of other teams who are desperate now and don't have any margin for error. Are playing guys when they're sore or not quite ready, and at times it can have pretty ordinary consequences. So you earn that, don't you? You do the work early, and you earn the right to be in that position.
So what's the right balance in terms of, as you said, making sure those players are not forced to play when they're under duress, and the opportunity tonight to Charlie Dean and Charlie West to get a look at some of those players underneath in the VFL who are trying to force their way into this side.
The balance is to make selection competitive. That's the reality of it. Like if any of those guys come back and they're underdone or not performing, well, this is why you're playing these players now to find out. Well, I've got this type of depth. If they're not right, So exposing. West, Dean,
Tom Mitchell's the other one I mentioned who's come back from a long injury layoff.
Sullivan, Ed Allen. There's a number of guys that you just want to continue to expose, and Tom Mitchell could come back in. He played such a critical role in their premiership year. So it's squads that win premierships now. It's not just the 22 or 23 with the sub. It's it's that 30 odd players that each team needs to really be able to rely upon.
So they got a They got a 6-day break now. A Friday night game against Carlton back at the G. So I wonder whether they had, this is an opportunity penciled in maybe to manage a few of the senior players. Jamie Elliott looked sore at times tonight, didn't he? He had a pretty sort of rough night on Ruben Ginbey, who wore him like a glove and had a couple of big knocks. So you wonder whether, players like Elliott, Pendlebury, he won't want to rest. We know that. Side bottom and Howe's the other one. You wonder how if those players like Maynard are available to come back, whether this might have been a week penciled in, because then post that they travel to the Gold Coast, and that's looking that's become one of the most challenging road trips, hasn't it, on the fixture? So and then an 8-day break after that. So they're in the position now where they can be really mature and manage their players who need to be managed for the next couple of months.
So Gold Coast at the Gold Coast, Fremantle at the MCG. So there are a couple of the challenges for the Pies to come. The Brisbane Lions at the MCG as well. Hawthorn, Adelaide in that run home. So there's still a couple of good tests despite being 2.5 games clear on top of the ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And look, they'll relish those. We know that. If you want to go all the way, you're going to have to beat those sort of teams. They've got a good record, a recent record against Brisbane. Geelong's probably the one, isn't it? That it really has been.
Feels like Geelong's best is the best.
Yeah,
of the comp.
I said that last week. And I think that's still the case. Even though they went out and had a bit of a mulligan against Brisbane, didn't they? They'll freshen up, off a big block of games, and I'm sure we'll see them bounce back next week. But yeah, Geelong, Brisbane, Collingwood. It does seem a pretty clear top three with a bit of a gap to the next crew.
Collingwood winners by 29 points. Let's head back down to their rooms with Lex Pesce.
Thanks, guys. I am with Jack Crisp. Crisp, firstly, you got over there in the end, you got over the line, but a few sore bodies rolling around, yourself included. How have you pulled up?
Yeah, a little bit sore. It's quite the bruising contest, I guess. They tackled pretty hard, and were quite physical, which we knew they were going to be. And that's the beautiful thing about this game. You don't know when you're going to get turned around with 5, 6, 7 day breaks. And then they came out firing, and now we've got to rest up, ice up, 6 days for Carlton.
As I said, it was one of the games you probably had to fight out more than you have. And I guess heading into this game, most people would have thought it would have been a margin really blown out. They did make you work for it. And politely, is it a bit of a reality check?
No, you just got to bring your best each week. And to their credit, they played really well. They forced us into a lot of handball errors, especially in the first half. Their pressure and physicality around the ball probably helped with that. A lot of guys missed handballs, and then we're under the pump, and then they outnumbered us and got the ball going forward. So we'll probably review that, see what we can do better. But after half time, we focused on more forward football and taking some territory.
Was that the simple message at half time, just more forward football?
I think so, because we might have been handballing around too much and then obviously inviting their pressure. And then, if we don't get the ball forward, we don't give our forwards a chance. So, if we can do it out of stoppage where it's probably even numbers, give our forwards a good chance of kicking goals.
Adam Ramanaskas and Luke Boltz, over to you.
Oh, well done, Jack. I was going to ask just that, actually, whether you were a little bit handball happy in that first quarter. We probably thought you were. I mean, credit to them. I was really impressed with their pressure, and they were able to maintain it for the majority of the game. And Craig Fly was a little bit animated at quarter time. Was that the message? Boys, we're just a little bit handball happy, a little bit of sort of Hollywood stuff. Can we take the ground and not invite further pressure?
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. We also spoke about kind of our tackle efficiency and then our ball movement, trying to go through the corridor pretty much every time. And obviously West Coast planned for that, as we do like to use the corridor. So they're able to come forward and intercept and, turn the ball over. So we just kind of put the ball in our court a little bit in terms of just making sure we face the game, using our options and assessing them before we making some silly decisions, kicking the 50-50s where we didn't want to.
I'd be interested to hear how, I know you haven't been in the room yet, but how strongly you review this game. I think it's when you're up the top, and you have been for a little while. We know that the teams go to school and go to work on you, and they were coming off the bye. Is there a bit of a feeling that we bank the points, we sing the song, and we get back to the MCG next week?
It's probably kind of a little bit that time of year. We just kind of, it doesn't matter how you get the win, as long as you get the 4 points. And we probably haven't been playing our best football over the last month, but teams are turning up and really challenging us. And to our credit, it's like taking to the fourth quarter to kind of run over the top of teams. And it's a great challenge. Teams challenge us in different ways, but it's really good to see how we can keep finding different ways to win.
Finding depth is always really important, Jack, in a season. You've got some really good players out at the moment, but Charlie West gets an opportunity, Charlie Dean, Lockie Sullivan, Ed Allen. How critical is that depth now, getting into the latter parts of the season?
Yeah, it's always important, and I think the guys that have come in throughout the whole year have played really important roles for us. And the beautiful thing about what we do is we're a real system-based team, I guess, and we're having that. Obviously, a lot of teams want that next man up mentality, but the guys that have been coming in off the back of good VFL form and really giving themselves a chance to play great senior football.
How do you expose them enough to trust them if you need to play them in a final series?
Oh, well, I guess it's probably now when they're getting their opportunities, but even if they do somehow find their way out of the team, it's going back and making sure they're playing above the level of VFL to show that they're ready to come in and play their role.
The old boy in Scott Pendlebury tonight, I don't know if he turned back the clock, because I don't know if the clock's been turned yet with him, but he was brilliant tonight. 28 possessions, 8 score involvements, 9 clearances. He just looked like the most classy midfielder out there tonight.
No, he was. He was very impressive. I love the way he goes about his football, whether we need some clearances or not. And he just took it upon himself to get us going in the second quarter there with a few nice clearances, and then setting up our forwards. He played well. You've
played so many games of football, but what do you still learn from a person like Scott?
I don't know. He's always going to be reliable in terms of where he's going to be in the position in the ground, base round system, and then he's just so important in how he sets up the rest of the people around him. We can't do what we do if someone's not in their role, and he's quite good at seeing the game unfold and making sure blokes are in the right positions, even if he's not already, and he knows he's going to be.
Jack, you've had a couple of games at Docklands in a row, and then there's 8 games left for the season. Looked like there might have been a few tired bodies out there. Is it nice to know you've just got a trip to Carrara or a trip to the Adelaide Oval, and then the rest are at the MCG for the rest of the season?
Yeah, back-to-back Marvel trips was it was a bit far for me over the southeast side of Melbourne, but it's been good. It's nice to come here, especially in winter time. If it was raining out, I don't mind it.
Yep.
But looking forward to getting back to the MCG next week, and then Gold Coast the week after should be good.
Collingwood midfielder Jack Crisp is with you on ABC Sport. There were some nice messages around Brodie Myercheck and his 150th game. Bobby Hill and a few of his teammates, Jeremy Howell, speaking about what he means to the club. For someone who didn't come in through the traditional AFL method, what's he meant to this Collingwood lineup?
He's just unreal. He's just a warrior. He's one of my best mates at the club, and to see him, obviously come in 2018 when he first got his chance. I think he got drafted as a key back, so trained 2 weeks as a forward, come in and then kicked 4 in his debut, and then hasn't looked back. He's just been a warrior for us, and very proud mate, and very happy to see him get to 150. And he's etching Collingwood history as well with premiership and 5-time winning goal kicker for us as well.
This goal celebrations from Scott Pendlebury. Do you know what the samurai sword was?
No, I missed it, but we're presuming it's from his son. I think it was his turn to pick a celebration.
Power Ranger, I reckon. That's my guess.
I reckon it was a Power Ranger.
Yeah, that could be a good.
Is this dangerous territory for some of the dads?
Yeah. Sloan gave me just do a thumbs up one week, so I did that. That was pretty simple.
And finally, the arrival of Tim Membry. How have you seen him in your forward line? We're sort of discussing throughout the call as to how many games he would play this season and what he's been able to bring to this Collingwood lineup.
Yeah, he's been unreal. He just competes. Don't know, if he looks like he's outsized or, too many people at the contest, he'll just find a way to bring the ball to the ground, tackle hard, follow up, win the ball again and get it going forward for us.
As always, Jack, appreciate your time. Good luck against the Blues next week.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Jack Crisp from the Collingwood Rooms after their victory by 29 points over the West Coast Eagles. And interestingly, his comments around the adjustment they made after half-time. Nick Dacos finishes with 34 disposals, almost 700 metres gain. Jack Crisp was another one, 27 disposals over 500 metres gain. So the line breakers for Collingwood, the ability to be able to get that transition run going.
And they stand out late, don't they? And that's just the benefit of that cumulative workload. It's obvious, isn't it, that pre-season after pre-season, I mean, he hasn't missed a game, we know that, let alone probably a training session, Jack Crisp. And you just see it late in games, when the younger Eagles' legs were just fatiguing and lagging a little bit. I thought Crisp's last quarter was brilliant, and as was Pendlebury and Sidebottom, and that's a real strength of this Collingwood team. I mean, coming into the season, it was highlighted as a potential challenge or weakness, wasn't it? But to this point of the season, the experienced heads and legs of this Collingwood team have held them in really good stead.
But the reality of that is in Jack's comment. We want to play we want to be a corridor team. We want to take the corridor on as much as we can. So they're never stopping within their game. They're always trying to take the game on. So that's going to allow, those line breaking players. Now, Jack Crisp is unbelievable in terms of his fitness. We know he's an absolute Iron Man of our competition with the most consecutive games record, but he's not stopping. He's not slowing down at all. And, I mentioned Scott Pendlebury there. He's not slowing down. And, both Dacoses, they just don't slow down.
No. Game 252 consecutively for Jack Crisp tonight. He has the AFL games record for the most consecutive games. You mentioned a few of the Collingwood runners. For the West Coast Eagles, you look at the final term, and you kind of touched on this. Rammer, it was Clay Hall who was running.
Yep.
Still trying hard in the final term, and while they didn't get any recognition for it on the scoreboard, Tom McCarthy with 9 disposals in the final term, Liam Baker with 7.
Look down the bottom of the page, though. Tim Kelly, who's one of your absolute leaders that you want.
So this is where I'm going to.
Number 9 there too.
Yeah.
You just looked a bit sore, in fairness, Harley Reid.
So Harley Reid,
you mentioned it
2 in the final term.
Yeah, and look, and okay, they're different athletes, but you mentioned through the call, Rammer, didn't you? And it was, and as soon as you started talking, I knew what you were going to say. And there'll be some great clips to show Harley. And as I said, he's a different athlete to Nick Dacos, and he's a couple of years behind him. But if he's going to be spoken about in the same, sort of breath or same sort of aura as that, that high draft pick, that high talent superstar sort of player, when you sit here live and you watch how hard Nick Dacos runs, he didn't have his best night, Nick. We spoke about, especially in that first half, overused the footy a little bit, made some poor decisions, didn't quite execute as he usually does. But his work rate is just a sight to behold. And if Harley's going to get there, I'm not saying he needs to be that sort of athlete. And his sort of profile as a player is a little bit different. But he has to improve that side of his game. There's no doubt about it.
Games are your best lessons.
Yep.
Okay, because that tells you how you need to train during the week. That's you come out and play against the best, and go, okay, where am I actually at in my own development, in my own career, and then you go and train it during the week. And if you want to be the best, well, like Nick's certainly right up there, but Scott Pendlebury, there's no reason, like Scott Pendlebury's not quick.
No.
But he's got the quickest mind out there by far. He's the way he accumulates the ball and uses the ball. Like that's what Harley Reid might want to model his game on. Like I look at Harley Reid and I see Luke Hodge. Like when you would know this as well as anybody, Paulie, because you were drafted in the same year as him. But when he came into the league, like he tried to play midfield as well, didn't he? And he couldn't run. Then goes to half back, starts to obviously find his way and becomes an absolute superstar champion because he learnt the lessons on the ground that he needed to take off the ground to be the player that he became.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
So Collingwood kick 8 goals to 2 after half time. Harley Reid has 2 disposals in the final term. He has 6 for the second half. I think you're right. I think the analysis of Nick Dacos's game, the tagging he's had from Marcus Windhager, you don't want to focus too much of the attention on a second-year player, but this is the lofty standards of Nick Dacos gets to as many contests as he can. There's the fitness level, and there's obviously the support of your teammates to try and give you the ball.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a good point too. It's more challenging in a team that's down the bottom of the ladder and young and developing. There's no doubt about that. But look, if you can control, that's the stuff that he needs to go away and work on. It's not just him. We're not picking on him. It's that's the difference between the teams at the top end of the ladder at the moment and the ones that are just sort of developing.
If Harley Reid had Dom Sheed and Elliot Yeo at their best,
that helps clearly. Well,
if you had Tim Kelly at his, that helps Harley Reid and all because he doesn't then have to play as a full-time mid. He can go and play, on the edges a little bit at half back and half forward,
out of the
goal square, and do. But what he's being asked to do at the moment as a second-year player, that's extremely difficult if you don't have the fitness base to do it.
Yeah. So Tim Kelly's the next one, signed till 2027. The Eagles gave up a lot to get him, and Andrew McWalter needs that leadership, but he's not in their best midfield at the moment. Where does that leave a player of his experience and his calibre?
Well, I think we've seen this year. Andrew McWalter's clearly having, honest, mature discussions with him. He found his way out of the team at one point, and his role has had to adjust. I think this and what we don't see is what he's like Monday to Friday. I would hope that he's a really good influence on someone like an Elijah Hewitt. With his tenure in the game, he's the best and fairest winner, Tim Kelly. So you would hope that he's a positive influence during the week, and then he has to adjust and play the role that's assigned to him. I think that the contract's well. I mean, when he came across at the time, there were no qualms about that. So he joined a premiership team, just coming off I think he'd won the best and fairest at Geelong, if I'm not wrong. So at the time, and it was 2 first-round picks, but I don't think anyone was crying out that was a poor decision. It just hasn't really panned out the way. And again, not all his fault and his doing. Just and when you go back, I mean, interesting tonight. These two teams played in that 2018 grand final, didn't they? The Eagles win the premiership. Both teams' trajectory since then is if you were to plot those courses, it's stark, isn't it? So Kelly made the decision, and he would have been. He made that decision on the basis of sort of sustained success, and it just hasn't worked out that way.
Tim's got to ask himself if he is rock hard fit. Like when he was at his very best at Geelong and the early doors at Westco, he was rock hard fit. He was motoring from contest to contest. Now, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that like we used to. So there's no midfielder in the AFL that can play consistently and not be rock hard fit. Just the demands of what is expected and the speed you're expected to continue to run at from minute 1 to minute 120. If you're not there, you need to be ultra talented. And the reality is the game will just go past you. It leaves you behind. There's so many kids that want to get to AFL level. And that's the demand. The demand is be rock hard fit, be able to run from minute 1 to minute 120.
So the West Coast Eagles are back in Perth next week. They take on the Giants. Then they're on the road to Adelaide, take on Port Adelaide. They have the Tigers at Perth Stadium ahead of the derby against the Dockers, Melbourne, Adelaide, the Bulldogs and the Sydney Swans in their final game of the season. One win so far. Their fans would feel like they're
a couple of others. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they have been. And again, we spoke, with Clarko this morning. Yeah, can they bank quarters? One. Can they be in games at halftime and really build confidence off that and build winning habits off that? If they play like they do tonight, they'll pitch another couple of wins and be a really tough out, as they say, for sides from here on in for the rest of the year. And there's nowhere that tonight was based around effort and pressure largely, wasn't it? And then they got their rewards, in terms of the way they moved the footy and transitioned the footy. So you'd love to see them say, right, that's our baseline of effort tonight.
What have they got left? They've got 8 games, is it?
Yep.
8. So the reality is, don't waste 8 games of football. Go into an off-season, into a pre-season with some level of momentum, some level of hope. I think more than anything that, okay, if we put another really good pre-season together with a number of these young kids, we can continue to improve. So, don't waste 8 games of football. Like these are absolutely worth their weight in gold to a number of these younger kids. Like there's more kids that will come back into this West Coast team where they'll be given opportunities. So just don't waste it. Like any game that you play at AFL level is a privilege, absolute privilege, but it's also a lesson in what you need to do and what you need to work on.
Yep, be tough to play against. Adam Romanascus, Luke Ball, Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden with you. Collingwood 29-point winners over the West Coast Eagles, 13-10-88 to the Eagles, 8-11-59 in front of 38,126 fans. Steve on the SMS from Ballarat, 0437 774 774. I see Harley Reid is growing into a power player, more like Patrick Dangerfield. He probably weighed more than Dacos when he was 15. Totally different genetics and type of player.
Yep, yeah, that's fair. Different athlete. I stress that. But that doesn't mean you can't still, if you want to play some midfield time. I still think, and I agree, I still think someone like Martin is the comp. But Martin got himself fit up. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Now, he was never going to be an elite endurance runner, an athlete, and as the team built and grew around him, because that's the other part to it as well, he was able to play the way he did because he had players like Kane Lambert and all these other guys who would cover him if every now and then he forgot to sort of turn his head and go back the other way. Well, we've got your back, and that's the club's responsibility to build that around him. But he's got to control what he can and continue to improve his fitness to allow him to spend more quality minutes. So it's not just 1 or 2 efforts and then, okay, I need a breather. So I still think it's mid forward because he's got that natural sort of forward. He can mark it overhead better than those sort of guys can, and we've seen him kick goals. So I agree with the caller. He's a different type of athlete, but he's got to keep building his game and building his fitness base. Still
to come, the 3-2-1 for the ABC Footballer of the Year. In the other matches today, Hawthorn defeated North Melbourne by 85 points, 23-12-150 to the Kangas 9-11-65. Hawthorn led by 20 points at quarter time. Then they booted 8-3 to lead by 51 points at half time, and never looked back from that point onwards, putting 6-3 in the final term. Jack Gunston kicked a career best 7 goals. Marbiel Chol booted 5. Nick Larkey kicked 5 in a losing cause. So Mitch Lewis has returned through the VFL today. But, Ball, you made the reference that at Collingwood, Brisbane, Geelong, Hawthorn are now up to 4th spot on the AFL ladder, 10 wins and 5 losses. Adelaide can wrestle back that spot if they beat Richmond tomorrow. So it does set up that sort of 4th spot as an intriguing wrestle as to who's going to get there. The Bulldogs have a number of games at Docklands. Who will stumble?
I think there's still a lot of change in this top 8. Yeah, I think there's a lot of change because I think they play each other a lot in this final stretch. So, it's striking form at the right time, isn't it? You look at Brisbane. You look at Brisbane last year, and they just hit form at the right time, and were able to ride that momentum all the way through to winning a grand final. So I still think GWS can give it a good shake. I think they're their best football, but that's relying upon getting Sam Taylor and Brent Daniels to a level of fitness again. Brent Daniels particularly.
Agree.
I know Sam Taylor will come back, and I know how important it is, but internally, Brent Daniels is rated in their top 3 of most important players at GWS. So he's one. I think the Bulldogs' best is good. Norton, I thought, took a real step forward last night. We've been critical of Norton over the last couple of weeks. Their midfield looks outstanding. Can Adelaide's defence hold up? Yeah, that's the question with them. The rest of their game looks in really, really good order. We know about Collingwood. I think complacency is probably the biggest question around Geelong, and how often can they hold the rage within a game?
Yep.
It's like sometimes they get bored. It's like, oh, geez, we're out to a 6-7 goal lead. Let's blow the siren now, and then all of a sudden the team will kick 3 or 4, and they're back into a dogfight. But when they go, boy, oh boy, do they look good.
Brisbane have been playing like that too, haven't they? Yeah, they just seem to want to wait for the challenge. I mean, someone's got to miss, don't they? There's a pretty clear 9, and so there are 8 games left. It's probably too early to call. You don't want to be dropping games against the bottom 6. You can't afford to drop one of those, and you need to be beating at least 2 or 3 of the teams above you to cement yourself in that top 8. So, the Giants, I think they've got to have a quick sort of scan. Might have a tougher draw than Gold Coast and Fremantle, I think, and the question mark over those injuries for the Giants. I think they've lost a bit of that depth this year with the players that have left, which has just exposed them a little bit in terms of that sort of underbelly. So I think at their best they're fantastic, but if they can't get those players back, that might just cost them a bit late. But it's exciting. I mean, you want more than 9 still vying, don't you? With eight rounds to go for a finals position. But Gold Coast, obviously, that was an important win today.
Yeah.
In the end. It was pretty comfortable, wasn't it? They were never really in doubt. Well, Melbourne had a bit of a run on them, but they just needed to. They'd lost 3 in a row. They just needed a steadier today, and they jumped out of the blocks and really put it to bed in that first half. So that was impressive. I'm still not convinced. I think they've got a great draw, so everything's there for them. I'm just still not 100% convinced either side of the ball. Their midfield really is dominant, and that's what's getting it done for them at the moment. Still not.
Well, you mentioned kind of Geelong when they're at their best, what they can do, and then Geelong really put Gold Coast away. When they played at Kardinia Park, they made them look smaller than they were, and I feel like that's a doubt on Gold Coast when you look at trying to match them up with the best in the comp.
Yeah, well, they've just got inexperience at either end, at key posts, haven't they? They haven't got a lot of sort of real sort of age and experience both in front of the ball. I mean, Ben Kings, we know, is a prolific goal kicker. How will he go in the real heat of a final? And then behind the ball, Mac Andrews just having a bit of down on form at the moment. He needs to sharpen up.
Melksham torched him today.
Yeah.
Melksham could have kicked 8 or 9.
Yes.
Quite comfortably.
Which is a lot of money going into a man you think is going to be the future.
Yeah, it's early day, but it just shows, okay, you
Ego might
put your hand out for the thing.
Check.
Yeah, but you've just got to keep doing the work. Yep, that's right, because teams will try and expose you. So
well, Melksham did, because they kept dragging him back, and then they dragged Collins up. So usually it's Collins on that last line and Mac Andrew sort of across that half-back line, but Melksham just dragged him back, and he didn't like it today at all.
So a big win for the Gold Coast Suns by 19 points. As Rama and Bally mentioned, snaps a 3-game losing streak. They're back inside the top 8. And the Dockers are the team that are in 8th spot. And they have a big clash against the Saints tomorrow in the final match of round 16. Just the other small talking point out of that Hawthorn-North Melbourne game is a 3rd concussion to George Wardlaw. The bump from Connor Nash. He can't get a lot of luck in terms of continuity of his body and just being out there on a regular basis at the moment.
Well, it's just the way he tackles it. Like today, it wasn't even a bump. Nash had the ball, and he's a big man, and we love that about him. He's so tough. He's so brave. For me, today was a technique issue. He's going to have to do some work on that. Just leading with his head too often.
How many did you have in your career?
Yeah, it's funny. I watched that today, and I was watching it with the old man. I said, you know what? That actually reminds me of how I used to.
Did you change the way you played slightly?
I did. Yep. After I had a really serious one, I was 23 at the start of 07. from that point on, where I missed a couple of games, had a bit of a bleed on the brain, and that sort of said, okay, you've got to, and from then on, I don't think I might have only had the one.
So how did you change? What did you do?
Just the way, just how you lead.
So it's pure technique.
Yeah, technique. It was, technique. So,
but you didn't not attack the ball any harder or anything.
Good question. Yeah, it's a good question, and I sort of look back now. I think maybe I did.
Ruthless at the ball.
No, he's too brave and too kamikaze at times, but. That old classic saying, you don't put your head where your backside can fit.
That's right.
And how long did it take you to adjust, Paulie? Because it's easy to say you need to change your technique, but how long did it take you to adjust the way you played and go at it?
Well, it might take an off-season for him. Yeah, I think. Okay, George, we love this about you, and we're not saying it's got to go out of your game. We're just, you're no good to us in the sideline. You're no good to yourself, and you've got to protect yourself more. So, what is he, 22, I reckon?
Yeah,
if that. Is he? Yeah. So he's got hopefully a 10, 12-year career left in front of him. If he can just tweak a few things, I think, in terms of the way he attacks the footy.
It's funny because
21 years of age.
Well, I coach an under-16 team, and I'm forever trying to teach them technique of how to attack the ball where you can protect yourself. Attack it hard.
Yeah.
But attack the ball and turn your body and let all the impact hit your backside and, your even your ribs a little bit. So, but just this leading with the head, it's so dangerous, and it's also a problem in the W space as well with the girls, how they attack the football. It's got to be taught at underage level from the very, very start of how to protect yourself when you are going for a grab ball. Our players are so brave across the whole competition. The way they and George Wardlaw is his attack on the ball is relentless. The way he goes at it, but we've got to teach it. We've got to teach it as juniors. Like at the moment now, every time there's a sling tackle in junior football, the umpire is penalising, which is great. So it's got to wipe it out.
Yeah.
But us as coaches, we've got to teach technique.
The votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Who's got the top
that's me. I gave one to Nick Dacos. Wasn't his best game. 34 possessions, 1 goal, 3. 672 metres gained. It could have been an outstanding game. I thought he possession chased in the first half.
A little bit. Just overused it and tried to create with the stuff that wasn't there.
Second half, I thought when the game needed to be won, he really stood up.
Great goal in the third quarter. Yep.
I gave 2 to Liam Baker. I thought he was comfortably West Coast best player tonight. Just his effort. He's had 35 possessions himself, 11 of those contested, 10 ground balls, 6 tackles. But he just at times, winning that hard ball, he was just able to do it continually for West Coast. And I thought the oldest man on the field was best on ground in Scott Pendlebury. 28 possessions, 13 contested, 10 inside 50, 6 tackles, 8 score involvements, and a goal.
3 to Pendlebury, 2 to Baker, 1 to Nick Dacos in the ABC Footballer of the Year from Adam Ramanauskas.
All midfielders, which I don't like doing. I like to find a defender or a forward.
Stephen May with his high contact against Ben Ainsworth in that game at the Gold Coast Suns.
Eyes on the
We're just seeing a replay on our monitor in the box here. It'll certainly be looked at by the match review officer. But
I think he should be okay.
Maybe not enough of a swinging arm. That's what they don't like, the swinging arm. It was probably a legitimate attempt to spoil.
The Demons have now lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
Well, they were turning. They sort of started to turn things around against Fremantle. Would have been around 6 or 7, and they looked like they're coming. Then they've had a brick wall.
They were pretty good against Collingwood too, but just didn't get the reward, did they? And that almost just broke their heart a little bit.
Yeah.
I got the sense that day, and then it's going to be a
could be a long last 8 games.
That's right. They got Adelaide next week.
Stephen May's not dominating like he usually does. They dropped Jake Lever.
Caleb Windsor.
Even Caleb Windsor. You sort of go,
well, now's the time to play. It's a bit like the Saints. Now's the time to play these young kids, play all the kids, and give them a good run. I mean, Harvey Langford, he's been brilliant. I think a real chance to win the Rising Star. So expose all the kids, get some good time into them where they're going to play for you for the next 10 years, and if that means that a few of the senior players have to make way for the back half of the year, then so be it.
A little bit like Carlton, though. Has the game gone past their style, and can they get the best out of their stars, which are now ageing? So that'll be some interesting conversations in the back half of the season. Collingwood winners by 29 points here at Docklands. Thank you, Bally. Thank you, Rammer.
See you next week.
Good job.
Thank you to Loz. Thank you to Lex Pesce down in the rooms, to Stuart Baker at the back of the box, and to Lucas back at base. Collingwood 13-10-88, defeating the West Coast Eagles 8-11-59. 2 goals to Tim Membry, 2 goals to Brodie Myercheck in his 150th game, while for the West Coast Eagles, Tyler Brockman booted 2 goals in a much improved effort by the side on the bottom of the AFL ladder. While earlier it was Hawthorn who defeated North Melbourne by 85 points. Jack Gunson with a career best 7 goals, and the Gold Coast Suns 19-point winners over the Demons. Unfortunately, the cricket has come to a close. Australia prevailed in the first test against the West Indies. It all gets underway again next Thursday night, and our team will be in position to bring it to you, available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the dedicated cricket button. Tomorrow from midday, AFL Sunday, I'll be joined by Bob Murphy as we take you through all the events of the weekend's footy so far, and an eye forward to the match at the MCG between the Tigers and the Crows, and the Fremantle Dockers taking on the Saints in the final match of round 16. Thanks so much for your company. We look forward to doing it again tomorrow. It's good night from Docklands, the Pies by 29.
Head this pig and I'm rubbing its stomach.
1 hour.
How do you wash a possum?
2 microphones.
You know, romance is not dead when you're an emu.
Conversations this morning from 11 on ABC Radio.
Be part of the Grandstand Sport team on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search ABC Sport and see a world of great sport content for you to explore.
ABC Sport.
Grandstand Cricket.
There you go.
That's it for the day.
You can hear the bells.
And that is Stumps. On ABC Sport, this is Grandstand. That's Stumps. On ABC Radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And the ABC Listen app.
Welcome to Grandstand at Stumps on ABC Sport. Corbin Middlemass and Dirk Nannis at the completion of day 3. It was a thrilling finish, one in which Australia go on to win inside 3 days by 159 runs. It ends just before 6:15 local time in Bridgetown, Barbados. And what a day it was in which Australia flexed its muscles and reinforced its status as one of, if not the best team in Test cricket after an entertaining 2 days in which it was a tight, low-scoring tussle. The Aussies pulled away on day 3. First of all with the bat, with Travis Head making 61, Bo Webster 63 and Alex Carey 65. The Aussies making 310 after their early struggles with the bat to lead by 300 at the completion of their second innings, and then went to work with the ball as their future Hall of Famers so often do. Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, Lyon, all among the wicket takers. None more so than Josh Hazelwood, who was wayward early but fought back to pick up a 5-wicket haul. The West Indies all out inside 34 overs. We had to dig deep into the laws of cricket to be able to allow us some extra time late in the day. But the West Indies all out in the darkness at Bridgetown for 141. The Aussies win by 159 runs to go one ahead in the Frank Worrell Trophy, the best of 3 Test matches. Dirk Nannis watched it all with me on ABC Sport. Oh, what comes to mind first, Dirk, at the end of all that?
Capitulation for the West Indies. I think when you're rebuilding a side, or you're in Darren Sammy's position as coach of the first Test match, you've got 8 changes since the previous Test match that the West Indies played. You're in the contest after 2 days, well in the contest, and you come with hope on this day. And to end so horribly as they have done in this Test match is just demoralising. And it's hard to see how you come back in the series when, as you've said, it got into a little bit of an arm wrestle. And Australia just used their power and came over the top and absolutely dominated this third day. And you could